And we are just like that. We're live, guys.
Oh, we're
Fappy,
live.
Tyson.
What a smooth transition.
Ooh,
thank you.
Super smooth. What were we talking about that we said we were gonna say for the banter? Because now,
the Mario movie is what we were talking about.
Yeah.
Now, Tyson, unfortunately, I need you to go over your stinky opinion real fast about what's happening. So just that.
With my opinion on the Mario.
Can you please go ahead and give us your rank opinion?
But before you do, if you're coming in just, on the VOD of this episode and you're like, "Where's the podcast?" Fast forward about 20 minutes from now, and we're going to begin the podcast. With that being said, Tyson, give me your stinky opinion. What is this?
So at risk of sounding like I guess a modern day, I don't know, what would you call that? Like a misogynist dude or something. My two biggest problems with the Mario movie, we were talking about this.
Anti-feminist, maybe?
Yeah, and I'm not that. See, like I like women. Like I'm married to one, and I love her dearly.
Too.
But no, so like my biggest problems, I have two big problems with the Mario movie. Number one was the story that they chose to go with. The story that they chose to go with was not fleshed out enough. So I would say that it was fine. The Mario movie was fine in the form that they gave it to us. I just wish that it was longer and they fleshed out the characters more. You didn't see enough Luigi. There was multiple problems there. You know what I mean? That I just feel like it could have been a lot longer. They could have fleshed everything out a little bit more because it was a fun movie. I didn't love it though, but I would have sat. It was only an hour and a half long. I would have sat through 2 hours of it. Like I would have sat through maybe 2.5 hours.
See, that's where I kind of disagree, Tyson. I feel like it was perfectly fine. The timing was actually damn near perfect. I think to hit that, it was perfect, man. That timing was perfect. I mean, they checked. Listen, it was an for everybody movie.
Yeah,
it really was. One of the knocks on it that I'll give it is that it definitely was twinged for the kid audience. I think a little bit too much. I think they tweaked it a little bit too much for the kid audience over going for everybody like they really tried to set out doing in the first place. Fappy, what do you think?
I mean, honestly, I love the idea of not giving Luigi screen time because that sets up for future movies. Let's look at it at what it actually is. It's a franchise waiting to happen. It is something that they're
a universe, right? A cinematic universe.
Yeah, and it's definitely going to end up in a. I'm adamant about this. If you tell me I'm wrong, you're wrong. Smash Bros. The movie, it's gonna happen.
Let's go.
They're gonna do a Legend of Zelda movie. I promise you. If Mario works out and it becomes a franchise, Pokemon is already a franchise. You know, they tested with 3D Pokemon movie stuff, and it was horrible. It was horrifying, but they're getting there. So you know, they have Detective Pikachu. They could easily work in that sort of premise, but. In all honesty, the Mario movie for me was an 8 out of 10. I can't say it wasn't because I thoroughly enjoyed my viewings of it. It was easily one of the better animated movies of a video game I've seen in a very long time.
Well, of course, yeah. Oh, sorry. Go.
I was just gonna say, Tyson, welcome everybody to the stream. I see everybody coming in. I believe Drip has done his insertion of his audience. I'm pretty sure because I don't think we had 13 this early in a long time. So what is that for everybody? Tyson, probably since the last time you and I talked about Pokemon. Remember that podcast that blew up for some reason?
Yeah.
That was really weird. What's up, guys? Parallax Puddles, Joe, Dude's a Monster.
What
Nick,
up, Dude's a Monster?
Mickey Sims, Adam Bama. Did I say Kenny already? Kenny, what's up? What's up, guys? How we doing? This is not a podcast about Mario. I promise. Not a podcast about Mario. Tyson asked me about the Mario movie, and I was like, hold on, pause it. That's a perfect conversation.
Because we wanted to
for
talk
the filter
about
in.
it.
Yeah. By the way, I did want to have at least Tyson. If not, we can Fappy on too. I know you're in the future; it's difficult, but I get you guys on to talk about the Mario movie in the future. I do. Drip's iffy on the idea. I understand his concerns about it, but Drip, I'm telling you right now, we need to do it for our audience, not just for the algorithm or whatever. We need to talk about this Mario movie. We need to do a spoiler movie, spoiler podcast.
Yes.
Going over everything. That's not today, though. Today is about Pokemon. That's why we got this lovely gentleman on your screen, Tyson.
What's up, guys?
Tyson W over on the YouTubes. And we got on the phone, Fappy he's on the phone because he's in the future. It's kind of difficult to get that video signal coming through the future. So because of that, we got Fappy on the cell phone, even though it's not really what you're on.
It's not a real phone though.
It's not.
We're not in 1992.
No.
I'm on the phone.
Fappy and Tyson are not only good friends of our Drip and mine, but also avid Pokemon players who know way more about than I or Drip could ever. That's true. We'll get to why that's an understatement for you in particular, Fappy, in a second. What you told me a little statistic a minute ago. How many hours of Pokemon you're playing a day right now? Last, like the stream. That's it, indeed, everybody. Indeed. This is a little filtering area. We'll get to the episode in a couple minutes here.
Yes, like the stream, heathens. That's
Cedric.
what he's saying.
Cedric. Every time I read your name, Cedric, I read Cedric the Entertainer. You know, that's not at all what's written. Just, excuse me, Cedric the Entertainer comes to mind. What is up?
Is this a call-in show? No, it's not.
No, this was heavily planned.
One day we'll get that'd be a fun idea. Do a call.
That'd be kind of dope, actually.
Get the Drip members and the G patrons in for a call.
Yeah,
all right,
I think that'd be a good idea.
Yeah.
Do like an AMA pod or something.
Yeah.
That'd be really cool for the members or something.
Yeah, I've had the idea for a while. Just believe it or not, we weren't that successful at the beginning, and we're still not. so at the beginning, it would have been a lot more rough, even though I had the idea. But now it would be a little bit easier. Now you guys are coming in the streams and the podcast much more frequently than before. So we appreciate that.
Also,
sweet
guys, subscribe. Why aren't you subscribed? If you are not subscribing, what is wrong with you? You're 4 away from 500, Drip and G.
That's right. That's right.
You gotta get that going.
Tell them what they win, Fappy, if we get to 500.
What do they
You win a fancy little Baby Zelda figurine amiibo thingy.
Ooh, let's go.
That's right.
It's good with the loft wing, right?
Yeah, we're giving away that. He's hanging out on the shelf until I gotta ship him out. He's gonna sit right there on the shelf until I gotta ship him out. But if you guys want to win,
awesome.
Want a chance to win that, we have to get to 500 subscribers. And as soon as we do that, the following podcast we will announce a winner. The way you enter is go to our Twitter, link in the description, and you go ahead and you retweet that tweet that says everything about the giveaway. But of course, you're not going to win if you're not subscribed. Of course, I mean, you may retweet the tweet, but you best be subscribed to the channel.
Subscribe and tweet everything.
4-way, that's right. Is Geeb's phone on silent, bro? I'm at work. If you're texting me, I'm not picking up. Oh my God, it actually wasn't silent. That was really
Kenny's
weird.
like, I want to call in. Answer your phone.
If you call, I'll pick it up. Not gonna lie.
You don't even answer the phone for your
If Kenny
brother.
Lasky picks up, he calls Uncle Geeb on the phone, I'm gonna pick it up and we're gonna stick his face in the air and it's gonna be great.
Oh my God.
Can you believe I shaved for this and I'm not even on screen?
Oh man, I feel like that was a slight jab at my face.
Oh yeah, Tyson, what happened to your beard? Did you burn it off? Did you singe it off?
Did I singe it off? I mean, yeah, I was going for like the laser hair removal thing, but I was going for my unibrow, and somehow I slipped.
Is this the Drip and G podcast?
Yes, this is the Drip and Geeb podcast. Who is this?
Hi, long-time listener,
Hello?
first-time caller. The question is for G.
I think your mic's canceling him out.
Yeah, so unfortunately, caller, our panel on the podcast cannot hear you because the microphone cancels out the quality through Discord. The stream can hear you, though. If there's anything you want to say to the stream before I hang up on you, caller, you may say so.
Before I hang up on you, before I let you go.
No, I don't really have anything to say. That's
Okay,
all
let
I
you
had.
go.
I don't even have a question, really.
You gotta finish the bit, Drip. Come on, dude. Get out of here. Goodbye.
Oh my gosh.
Think this through. I'm driving down to the store.
Wait, was that
I just
Drip
thought it
or
would be funny.
Kenny?
I didn't think this through all the way. I wish I had the rest of the bit. I really do. I wish I had the rest of it. I just don't. I don't have
All right, well, get out of here. You're fired. Bye.
Oh my gosh.
Love you.
it.
That was Drip, not my brother.
Oh, okay, because we can't hear it.
That's I wish you. Sometimes it when I do the phone, it can be heard over Discord for some reason. I guess it was canceling it out. But
For a
the
minute
stream
there, I
can
was
hear-
like,
the
who
stream
are
can hear
you
him.
talking to? Is this a bit?
He basically
What's
said like,
happening?
"Hi, this is Drip," or he said, "Hi, first time, long time listener, first time caller." He did like the whole radio bit. It was good.
Yo, Cedric in the chat. I completely agree with you. I would love a Let's Go in Johto. I would absolutely love a Let's Go Johto.
Oh,
I know
They
Ty's
should
not
not
a big
ever
fan
make
of
another
Go.
Let's Go game ever.
Oh, Ty. Oh,
Should never
Ty.
do that.
See, you have two varying opinions of the Pokemon content we're about to talk about.
It's really
so-
funny, guys, because normally I'm known as the Pokemon guy. I think I'm going to be the Debbie Downer of this podcast. I'm going to bring everything
become the
well, this is
Pokemon
this is
guy.
why I put you on, Tyson, and I got Fappy as well, because you guys, I mean, you're both avid Pokemon players, but I think pretty different opinions on the topic at hand tonight. So I think that's why it's perfect to have you both on.
Yep.
You know what's funny,
Funny
Geeb? I actually think we're gonna agree on a lot of stuff.
You and I, you mean, or you?
No,
Tyson?
like me and Ty. And,
Well,
in this
of
one. I
course,
think
because
Yeah,
we're diehard
yeah.
Pokemon fans. But like, I don't have very many positive things to say. Like,
Yeah.
we'll just leave it at that.
I have a couple.
Yeah. Pizza Guy says he couldn't hear the phone conversation. I'm sorry if you could not. For some,
Sorry,
it was
Pizza Guy.
It was showing up on the
audio
the
capture.
wavy bars were telling me that the sound was happening on the stream, so I thought it was happening.
Dude, I love Pizza Guy, man. That whole night where the whole odyssey of Drip waiting for his pizza that night was
Yeah.
amazing. My wife and I fell
Yeah.
asleep to that night. Like, it's
You know
awesome.
what, dude? I completely forgot of what I was like. I thought this was just some random person.
Nah, it's
And now
Pizza
that-
Guy, dude.
now- I remember now it's just Joe, aka Pizza Guy. Fuck you, Joe. Get out of here.
Oh my gosh.
Love you, Joe.
Pizza Guy. It's not even Joe. It's
Pizza
just the
Guy.
Pizza Guy. He was
Did you-
eating all of Drip's pizza.
That's right. I quit. Your impression is terrible. Sorry.
That's funny.
Pizza Guy was eating Drip's pizza. Stream could hear the phone call. Thank you, Mega Boy. What's up, dude? If they made a poker rap with all the Pokemon now, it would be the longest rap song ever.
It would
This
be
is true.
epic though, dude. Talk about bars. Let's talk about bars for a second. You got like over 1,000 Pokemon right now. Some bars.
We do. That's lots of bars.
Oh, I thought you meant
Every-
personally. I was like, oh yeah, I do.
Like Eminem can't rap those bars. You know what I mean?
No, he couldn't.
No,
you,
he
you
can't.
guys ever heard of Watsky?
No.
No.
So Watsky, if you know in the chat, if you know who Watsky is, go ahead and
What about Chris Webby? Anyone heard of Chris Webby? That guy
No.
flexes a little bit.
Watsky was a YouTube guy. He made YouTube
okay.
videos. But he was like known for like speaking the fastest of like any human I've ever heard.
I'm gonna have to
Like-
look him up now.
But coherent, pronunciated words.
Is that like in Family Guy where Peter says he can say the alphabet in a second and then he just screams?
I don't know that, but I can imagine that. You saw Watsky live? Oh my God, that is the niche of niches.
I'll have to look him up, man. That's cool.
That guy did shows.
The niche
Oh my
of
God.
niches.
That
I mean,
guy
like
did
the most
shows?
famous thing I remember him doing was like being a guest on Epic Rap Battle. Like that's the only thing I can think of that he was
Oh wow.
famous enough
Okay.
to do.
I'm sure I've seen this guy. He's still making music.
Is he?
Yeah. 3 weeks ago was his last post. It seems like
No
he's doing
shit.
stuff.
I've not been subscribed to him in like 10 years. Back in like 2013, 2014. That sounds about right. That's toward the end, I feel like, of when I was following Watsky.
This doesn't really look like it's my vibe though. Like I'm a hip hop
Nah,
guy. Like I like
nah.
rap, but this doesn't look like it's for me.
No, he's a very talented speech. Like he's talented at spitting words. Like really
He's a
fast.
speech therapist.
Like a spoken word artist, you would say maybe.
Yeah, I don't think
like-
he really sings. I think it was mostly auto-tune. If he
Speed
did
speaking.
sing anything, and the rapping was. I guess you're a good rapper by automatically if you can speak that fast. I mean,
Well, yeah, and based on your vocabulary too. Vocab's big with rappers.
for sure. Yeah, oh yeah. He had an extensive vocabulary. I'm sure you have to. Anyway, I'm gonna read some of these other comments that I got back in the chat here. I was ignored for some reason. The Pokemon performance for Scarlet and Violet is atrocious. You're absolutely right about that, Cedric. Unfortunately, we'll get to that in a minute. I mean, we did a podcast on it. The first patch that came out, or I guess it would be technically the second patch, 1.2. We did a podcast on that with Tyson actually, but that was a while ago. This is now patch 1.3. There's more notes to go over. Excuse me. They've done more things, but I don't think not enough. And we'll talk about that. Tyson and Faptor will argue and probably end their friendship over it tonight. I'm sure.
No
Geeb
friendships will be ended.
Geeb and Tyson Media. What's up,
Oh
man?
my gosh.
That don't sound that bad. I like that way that my name looks first.
It's actually pretty good. Let's be honest.
It's not bad.
I see how this is. I'm just gonna leave and I'm gonna make my own podcast.
It's because I can't see your face, Fappy. I mean, don't take it personally. But you're gonna prove to everyone tonight that you don't need a beautiful face on the internet to be listened
the
to.
Fappy and Drip podcast will continue.
I will say.
Yeah, you can take Drip. We fired Drip anyway.
The truth is that I mean, like after the last couple times I've been on with Geeb, like I think at some point now I'm not announcing anything because we don't have anything in the works because I'm not making any content. I'm not sure if you guys have noticed, but like Geeb would be probably the #1 person I approached for if I wanted to do a podcast. To be like, bro, do you want to do a podcast with me? Like Geeb would probably be like #1 on my list of people to podcast with. If
I'd be number 7.
You'd be number 1.5.
Drip would be 5. Give him top 5. Give him top 5. Maybe.
Fappy and I would have a sick podcast. I agree, Drip. I completely agree.
You guys would just talk about Australian animals and how deadly they all are all night.
We would need
on
Drip's
his stream one time, and it was great.
You don't say.
We would need Drip's accent of West Virginia accent to come out pretty strong, so we can have that West Virginia, slow West Virginia, and that like Australian, whatever you would. Wild Australian, that would be an amazing combination of accents.
G'day, mate.
Let's put another shrimp on the barbie.
No, don't make him leave, Tyson.
They do say that.
Leave. Get out. Get out.
You guys do say it, and you know you say it.
Don't make him.
You've ruined this for me. It's my first time on the pod, and you've already made me angry. Get out.
Oh my gosh.
Once again, guys, if you didn't pick it up a second ago, we got Tyson on screen right here, and we got Fappy from the future over in the internet. You can hear him. You can't see him, but you can hear him.
He's on the internet phones.
That's right. I made these new name tags a minute ago. What do you guys think of the name tags? There's a little podcast logo inside of
it. It looks good, man. I personally like them. Even like both of them are good. Yeah, they look tasty.
Watsky was Lil Dicky before Lil Dicky. I don't know about that. Lil Dicky's not like known for his fast-paced rapping. I feel like that is all Watsky was known for. Like he was just known for that guy who talks real fast. Lil Dicky's like outrageous. I feel like, right? I don't know too much about Lil Dicky other than he grew up like 20 minutes from my house. Other than that, overlays look up. Thank you, dude's a monster. I made them myself. They're not very involved. But I appreciate that. What do we got here? What time is it here? Oh yeah, look at that. About 20 minutes. I say that every time, not knowing how long it's going to be, and it's always about 20 minutes.
Well, I'll be danged.
I'll be danged.
I'll be danged.
So, gentlemen,
I'm just going to take the Australian aspect away, and I'm just going to do American the whole time.
Please.
That'll work.
Let's throw it off real good. Gentlemen, so I do have the article. We'll throw the article on screen at some point here. When we start talking about it in a little bit. But if you don't have the article, do you guys have the article, the patch notes in front of you?
I have in front of me.
If you don't, I can give them to you.
I have the patch notes from Cerebi.net, so they're the same patch notes that you've got in front of you.
I got Nintendo Life. Fabi, you got them?
Okay.
I have the Cerebi.net ones as well.
Perfect.
I also have a couple other things that we'll probably discuss as well.
Perfect. Love it. Oh, by the way, guys, it's like 9 a.m. for Fappy because he's, like I said, he's in the future.
It's 10:20 in the morning.
All right, it's 10:20 in the morning for Fappy. Can we get like a like just for Fappy being here? Like,
yes.
Also,
please.
Can you go in the description and click on his link? I think I only gave your YouTube link, Fappy. I did not give your Twitch. My bad. But he's
That's
also
fine.
Faptor Race on Twitch as well. But go ahead and click on his link and subscribe to him on YouTube.
That's okay. He's about to blow up on YouTube anyway, and YouTube is the only real relevant streaming platform right now, anyways.
This would be correct. Not gonna lie.
This guy's trying to start fights here.
No lies detected.
Of course, Strip. Yeah, of course. Just you can just join this call whenever you want. I mean,
it's your podcast.
I wouldn't recommend coming on mid podcast, but I mean, I can't stop you.
You co-own it, bro. Just do what.
His name's literally on it. Like his name's literally on it.
Your video won't be up. I don't have the scene set up right for all three of us to be on for tonight, but you can certainly come on and join us audio at some point.
Fappy and Drip on call.
All right, gentlemen. Do you want to get this started?
Let's do it, man. I'm ready to talk some trash on some
Cedric
Pokemon.
just saw my tagline on my channel.
What's your
Don't watch
tagline?
these, then tell me how
Watch
much you
these and
enjoyed
tell me how
watching
much you enjoyed not watching these.
Beautiful. As that sounds about like you, Fappy.
Yeah,
That kind
it
of
is.
encapsulates.
That is precisely Fappy.
I'm embarrassed, but I'm funny.
One of my favorite Twitch streamers that I watch at 9 a.m. 1 a.m. in the morning is what I meant to say.
Yep. Dude, I miss those nights, man. I used to pop in there when I worked nights. I was in pretty much every stream of Fappy's, but now that I'm not a nocturnal creature anymore, I'm really not in too many anymore.
Yeah. If you guys are over in that time zone, especially follow Fappy because you're actually like awake when he's live. All right, let's do this, guys.
Let's go.
Let's go.
I'm here for it.
Excuse me. All right, let's do this. This podcast was edited and uploaded by Uncle Geeb Productions. Hey guys, welcome everyone to the Drip G Podcast. I'm your host, Uncle Geeb, and with me is Host Drip Media. No, he's not. With me is guest host Tyson W and Faptor Race. I have butchered this all together. You can listen to us on Apple, Spotify, Google, or anywhere you can find a podcast. You can also watch our video podcast over on youtube.com/DripG. Like I messed up a second ago, we have two special guests with us tonight. The first guest in no particular order. You can find him at youtube.com/Tyson W.
Thank you.
That is going to be, or the Tyson W. I don't know. Links down below. Tyson, what's up, man? And
hey, what's
also,
up?
Yes, and we also have a beautiful Twitch streamer from Down Under. He's also in the future, if you didn't know that. We have Faptor Race, Fappy, Tyson, both of you. How are we doing today, guys?
Feeling good. Feeling really good.
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me on. Really appreciate being here. I'm doing fantastic. I've been looking.
I keep forgetting to
thank
thank you. Thank you as well.
No, you don't have to. Listen, Tyson thanks way too much. You don't have to thank as much as Tyson.
It's because I'm genuinely grateful, Geeb. Genuinely grateful. Okay.
And I'm Australian, so I'm just not.
Listen, the Philly attitude. It's we whatever. We're grateful without saying it, but I appreciate you guys for joining us for sure. Drip is fired. If you didn't hear, Drip there was a scandal involving Drip and an amiibo. We cannot comment on this time. But as of right now, he is no longer part of this podcast. But with us tonight is Fappy and Tyson. Maybe the Tyson and Fappy and G podcast emerges tonight. Who knows?
At some point,
it is the last
maybe.
episode of Drip G podcast. It's, like I said, we will not talk about that incident with Drip. But as of the first set of orders that Geeb the Great throws down the hammer after Drip's firing it's all about Pokemon tonight, guys. Something that Drip would never approve of. It's an all Pokemon episode. All jokes aside, though, Drip's not fired. We were talking about Pokemon again. We had Tyson on not too long ago talking about the first patch, or actually that was the second patch, if I'm not mistaken, right? There,
yeah,
Tyson?
yeah. I believe it was the first major patch. It was I honestly don't remember. Yeah, well, it was. I don't know, man.
Was it 1.2? Wasn't it 1.2?
It
doesn't matter.
It was 1.2.
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Look, let's be honest. There's so many problems with this game. It's hard to keep the patches keep track of them all. Anyway, let's continue.
No, you're not wrong about that, Tyson. I mean, yeah. Let's just kind of dive into it a little bit right there. I mean, we'll start off there. Like, before we get to the actual patch notes themselves, we'll look over them here in a second, and we'll talk about them for you audio listeners. I just have this feeling that, like, they're just releasing these patches, right? This is patch 1.3. Presumably there's been 1.2 and 1.1 before for this latest one. Every time they release these patches, it is just the longest list that you have ever seen of, like, insane like big glitches. Like big, this is not like minor little fixes. We're talking huge glitches, things that are missing, broken, just straight up broken things. There's just a lot of that. And this patch note, in these patch notes of the game, I've not played the game yet. I believe the two of you have, so I'll let you guys talk about it more than I have. But I mean, is there anything here? We're on 1.3 patch 1.3 now. Have you guys, you and Fappy, I'll let Fappy go first. Fappy, have you seen anything significant from this 1.3 patch from your eye? I'm not talking about what they have said they've fixed. I mean, like, well, I guess I kind of am. What have you experienced, whether they said it in the patch notes or not? You know, what have you experienced that is different? Not better, just different from, you know, before the patch.
So, yeah, on that note, I've got roughly 18 hours in Pokemon in the last 3 days.
You're qualified for this, that's for sure.
That's more than me, dude.
And that's after the patch came in, so it's definitely, there are some noticeable battle differences. They've definitely fixed a couple of little things in battling. And for some reason transitions seem to work a little bit smoother in raids that I've noticed, which is the whole concept of, you know, you all fight tough Pokemon together in multiplayer. But other than that, I haven't really noticed too much in performance quality, and I feel like that'd be the stretch mark that we need to hit, and I don't know why we haven't yet, and it's quite strange that we haven't. But yeah, I can't say I've noticed any performance enhancing drugs in that sort of sense.
This is Major League Baseball. No performance enhancing drugs at this point. We'll get to performance in a minute. But Tyson, have you seen anything different, you know, from your experiences from before the patch and now after it?
So, I thought I did, and we talked about it a little bit before, but I'll get into kind of what I feel like I've seen, and then we can talk about that. I've only really booted up the game just a couple times since the patch. I'm not playing as much Pokemon as I am, and we can get into why later. But I felt like when I booted up the game after the update, that performance was a little bit better. I made the comments to you guys before we went live that you know, the render distance seemed to be a little bit better, more akin to something like Breath of the Wild. Not quite as good, like there was still quite a bit of pop in or whatever, but it seemed to me like it was better. It definitely seemed to run smoother, but that's always kind of like in the back of your mind with these games especially, but any game that has a bug that that receives updates like this, you're constantly asking yourself, is this just a placebo effect? So for me, it felt like the game ran a little bit better, felt like the render distance was better. One thing I feel like I did notice was that raids worked better. I really didn't take note of why I felt like they did, but it just seemed like the damage dealt was more accurate because they were having problems with that, with moves like Play Rough and things like that. And I was using a Azumarill in one of the raids after the patch that I was doing, and that's one of the kind of the bigger Pokemon that uses Play Rough. And it did seem like that Play Rough was working correctly. So I mean, overall, like it seems like the game is, for me at least, a little more stable. But no, like I haven't really noticed anything huge, to be honest. Nothing big. So, and I haven't battled much either. I'm more known for battling, which is kind of what they're focusing on with a lot of these updates. And I haven't battled much, but I'm sure that those changes have been implemented or whatever. But I just haven't played as much lately. But yeah, we'll talk about that why later.
Yeah, so with that being said, you know, I haven't really played the game since the update. I did download it finally today, but I haven't actually got a chance to boot into it yet. Excuse me. Let's just read over some of these patch notes. I know you both kind of brought out some points here. Let's just kind of go over them. It's actually not as long as I thought. It's a little shorter than I thought it was, but it's still
definitely not as long as last time, right?
Oh, for sure. Last time's was way big. This time is much more
about
reasonable.
Half the size.
Yeah. But I mean, still kind of big things here. I mean,
I think the biggest thing that they were looking to address was kind of, and it's the first patch note that's on here as far as fixes, at least the list that I'm looking at on Cerebi.net. So if the viewers want to follow along, go to Cerebi.net and just Google the patch notes or whatever. You can find them there. But it seems like they really wanted to address the walking wake and what's the other one, Fappy? Help me.
Iron Leaves.
Yeah, Iron Leaves. The Iron Leaf raids where people didn't update the game and caught an egg by accident and it glitched their game out. So that was like, let's be honest, that was the main focus of version 1.3.0. Like that was the biggest thing they were aiming to change with this update.
You want to explain that change a little bit for those who might not be too familiar with that particular issue?
Fappy might have a better understanding of it than I do, so it might be better for him to take it.
Yeah, so from what I know of it, essentially in 1.1, they had the Walking Wake and Iron Leaves raid released, and a bunch of people who didn't update appropriately or properly on their Switch would do the raid, go to catch the Pokemon at the end of the raid by defeating it, they would get an egg, and then that egg would be game breaking, essentially, because you could not get rid of it. You could not hatch it. You could not get it out of your inventory box. And it made the game have this, basically a chunk of file that should not be there. And it could cause other issues in latency and all that sort of stuff later down the track. But with this new update, it's basically saying that, and here's the weird thing, it fixed the issue so when the repeat of the raids come out, you can then catch those Pokemon again. And it states that in the patch notes. However, what it doesn't tell you is it didn't get rid of the egg.
Oh, geez.
So if you have the egg, you're stuck with the egg still.
That's news to me. I didn't know that one. So
I did a little bit of
insane.
research on that because that was a big issue. And it happened to me in my Violet game, but it didn't happen to me in my Scarlet game. So,
dude, that's wild. That's wild, actually, that it didn't fix the egg issue.
Yeah, it's so a lot of people are still complaining it's maybe like 1 in 100,000, but it's still like people still have that issue. Yeah. And they they have this egg that's still stuck there, but they have the permission to catch the Pokemon again because you only get one. So they have the permission to catch it again when the raid comes out in a couple weeks.
Yeah, that's I've not experienced that, but I mean that just sounds like a massive issue. And yeah, let's just I'm sorry, were you saying that was actually fixed in this version, or it's still not fixed in this?
So they can recapture.
They can recapture them, but the egg is still stuck in there.
After this patch, the egg is still there.
The glitched egg that they caught that they obtained from the original raid before, like pre-patch, is still in their box. They were just allowed to recatch the Pokemon, is all.
So you're telling me the biggest part of this patch is that they fixed the part where you can still catch it now. They give you the permission, but the glitch is still there. There's still an egg in your inventory that you can't get rid of.
It's insane, dude. It's crazy.
I'm not aware of if Nintendo released a statement on how to get rid of it, or the Pokemon Company released a statement on how to get rid of it. I'm positive there is a way to get rid of it, but unless you like overclock your Switch and do stuff to the game, I don't think you'd be able to get rid of it without an update. Like a proper patch. So
it's wild, dude.
It's like DK It's like DK Old is sending you a broken console and then you responding like, "Hey guys, the console's broken. What do I do? Can I get a refund?" They're like, "Well, before you send it back, here's some tips." And their tips are fix it. And then 5 different ways how you can fix it yourself by cleaning it and repairing it. And it's like, what do you mean? Like, you sold me a refurbished console. Why am I supposed to fix it myself? It wasn't that supposed to be your job in the factory. That's exactly the same thing that's happening here, where they're like, it's broken, and then here's a suggestion that you can get rid of it. You got to hack your Switch and blah blah blah. But or just wait for an update that's never going to come, or maybe it does come. I don't know, guys. That actually made me more frustrated than I was coming into this podcast. I don't even want to look at these patch notes again.
It's just wild to me because that's actually news to me. Over the last couple weeks, I have not been playing very many games, nor have I been really paying attention to a whole lot of the news. So this is really the first discussion I've had on a lot of this. That is actually news to me. So I took their patch notes to mean that they fixed that issue from start to finish, meaning that the glitches would be gone. But if the egg is still there, then the game file corruption, if I'm not mistaken, it's still present. So you didn't actually fix anything. You just gave your players the opportunity to catch the Pokemon. Like, that didn't fix anything. It's frustrating.
Yeah, it's really
but you still get your Pokemon.
Oof.
Yeah, I'm not gonna bother going over the rest of these patch notes. We're not even gonna bother because we're gonna get right to the point of why I'm making this episode. It's that I'm speaking for myself. I'm just really frustrated with how the game was released and the state it was. And I sound like a broken record. I sound like everybody else on the internet, but hear me out. Like I'm really frustrated about how they released this game in the state that they did. At the time, I gave them every benefit of the doubt, and that's me, a guy who's shit on Pokemon in the past. I've done it, and I still will in the future. Don't get me wrong. There's plenty of issues with the Pokemon Company, Game Freak, as a combination, making games together. We're not talking about that today. Today is just about the frustration and disappointment is like understatement by tenfold. Like, you know what? I gave them the benefit of the doubt because I thought, you know what? We're going to get a statement. There's no way that they did this intentionally. We're going to get, a statement in saying how, and we did get a statement, and they did say about how, they want to fix the performance going forward. And Drip and I and Tyson have all made on the podcast before, have all made our like reasons why, our excuses, like, oh, well, they're just gonna, they're just gonna fix it in updates in the future. Or, their excuses that our excuse we made up for them was, yeah, I mean, we don't have enough time. Game Freak doesn't have enough time. That's the reason why. The game came out in the state that it did. There wasn't enough time. Game Freak doesn't have the time. That's we kept saying that over and over.
I think that's true, but like,
but hold on, Tyson. But like, here we are. Let me just finish my thought. Here we are, 6 months after the game released. 3 patches, 1 acknowledgement of an issue, 3 patches with chock full, if I might say, of fixes and glitches that to this point, once again, still has not scratched the surface of all the issues in the game. Yeah. Some of them that they fixed, apparently like this egg thing, it's still broken after the patch. And we haven't heard a damn thing since that first acknowledgement of performance issues. And so with that, I'll drop it off to you too. Tyson, you got something.
I think, I think the issues still stand. That obviously the root cause of these problems is this release schedule that the Pokemon Company and Nintendo likely have Game Freak on in order to develop these games. Yeah, I think that's the culprit. I'm hesitant to point the finger at the developers because I really do think that people that are masters of their craft tend to want to have their work reflect them. So I'm hesitant to really place a whole ton of blame on Game Freak. I really think the responsibility for this kind of thing lies with Game Freak, but the way that this game was released, I'm in 100% agreement at this point. I was willing to look past certain things because we thought, and the thing that we said in previous podcasts that you alluded to, and what you just said, Geeb, was that we've talked about this before, and not, I wouldn't say that we made excuses, but we expected that because Nintendo addressed it publicly on Twitter and elsewhere on the internet, that they were taking the issue seriously, and I think that they are. They're hurting because of this. But the thing is it's not seriously enough. And the truth of the matter, at least from my perspective, is I've said this in our own private chats on Discord. I really now, after the dust has settled on these games, we still don't have a complete game. We still don't have home compatibility. And there's a lot of problems with this game. And that kind of goes back to the complete game thing. For me, this is the worst generation that Pokemon has ever made. And like I rest my case. Like it is unequivocally the worst brand new generation. And I'm saying this as a lifelong fan. Like I've played every single generation. I've played since Red and Blue, and it is my franchise. Like if you guys watch my YouTube channel, like that's all it is. As far as live streams go, it's Pokemon stuff. That's my game. But it is, guys. I'll die on that hill. It is the absolute worst generation ever in Pokemon, and they're handling it very incredibly poorly. And the solution would have been, in my opinion, sorry, I'm kind of going off on a rant at this point.
You're good.
But the solution would have been to give it a longer development cycle, where maybe I think at this point, with what we're seeing with this game would have been a complete game in 2 more years. Give it 2 more years in the oven. And I'm not even saying that sarcastically. Put it on the next Switch. Give it the proper treatment and use it to sell the next Switch. Don't push it out on this one. It deserved longer in the oven than it was given. But that's my personal opinion on this.
Fappy, any reactions? Anything you want to say?
Honestly, no. Ty covered everything pretty much. I think heavily the same thing. Japan's work schedule definitely keeps in regard the 10-hour working days and everything like that. So you'd be surprised to hear, something isn't finished coming out of a production as big as Pokemon. And I want to give them the benefit of the doubt on some things where it's like, it's their first fully open world game. It's their first expansion into that sort of thing. And they've always been 2 steps behind every other game company for some reason in their stylization of games and gameplay and accessibility. So it makes sense that they would struggle, and they hate bringing people in as well to from outsourced companies to help them. So I definitely understand that there's those issues. However, they are at a deadline with the anime. They are at a deadline with plushies and toys and all that sort of stuff that they're trying to push out and make.
And Squishmallows.
So, yes. But I think that's their priority because that makes so much money for them. So games are now their secondary compared to everything else, and that's just how it's going to be from now on. We will eventually have a completed game, but it's going to be a year after it's been out. Like even then, next year there's rumors about the second DLC being released later in the year, not even before then. So it's like in this year. I mean, it's not looking great. It's not looking very good. However, home compatibility on that note, hopefully we'll get it in the next month because it's been 6 months since release. However, Legends Arceus, which was a smaller game in comparison, Legends Arceus got home compatibility within 5 months after release.
It was still too long, in my opinion, though. Sorry to interrupt you. Still too long.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. But they were doing BDSP at the same time, so I can sort of understand that they were doing both the games and trying to get them within. And it shouldn't take this long. It really shouldn't, considering they have game files in and everything. But because if anyone doesn't understand, Pokemon games release and data miners go in and they find files of Pokemon that will eventually be released in DLCs and stuff like that, and so that's how leaks are made. But this series of games, Scarlet and Violet, they have a very limited amount of Pokemon files in there, and some of them are confirmed to be DLC rumors, and they're leaks that have come out and stuff.
They've removed some too, so we'll see them back.
Yeah, they remove them because they're bringing them in the first DLC, and that's what they do. They take them out so they can refine them, put them back in. So it's like a placeholder. So yeah, I'm completely with Tyson on this. It's too long. It's way too long, and we should have had something sooner.
I think the way that I would put it is they haven't done. They need outside help at this point. If games now, I love Game Freak. Like I have as far as like a smaller independent development studio, I've got a lot of respect for Game Freak. So this isn't to throw any shade at Game Freak, but the way that I look at it is at this point they're overwhelmed. They must be, and that's my assumption. Is they need outside help. But at this point, in my opinion, there's a thriving Pokemon community on YouTube and on Twitch. But dude, I've been playing Pokemon since I was a kid, all of them, every single game I've been battling. Battling's my biggest bread and butter. I love competitive battling. And this generation, man, has just kind of lost me. I really feel like they dropped the ball on this. And I think now the only real thing for them to do to pick up the pieces, to speed up the process of getting things done is to to suck it up and get more help, get outside help. And you guys know me. I've actually said in the past, I don't necessarily think outside help just fixes it, because they're not people that are intimately, involved or aware of the franchise. But at this point, for me, they've really kind of ruined their own reputation. I have a little bit of salt going on right now with Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, because for the most part, all I do is if there's a new 7-star raid, I'll log in and I'll play it for 5 minutes. I'll do the raid, I'll collect the new 7-star Pokemon, and I turn it off and I don't play it. And that's really, it's really uncharacteristic of me. Usually I'm finding ways to build new teams, finding new combinations for, team compositions and that kind of thing. And then I'm spending a lot of time on the ranked ladder online. And these games, unfortunately, have just kind of not been able to hold my interest. I am 100% just bored with them. And maybe that's a good thing, because I've got a lot of other things going on in my personal life, but that I should be handling before games. But it does say something about the franchise too, that they've really slipped on this generation. And I really can't hit that nail any harder. You know what I mean? Like, they've really allowed this generation to just slip. And so I think that they should be doing, is there an extensive list of bug fixes here? Yes. Should they be doing more to speed this process up to appease fans? I actually think they should. I think that we should have home compatibility announced within the week. Like, I don't know if that's going to be a thing, but that would keep people like me a little happier. Because the truth of the matter is we're not getting complete games until DLC comes out. That's just the truth. These games won't feel.
Good. Let's bring up the DLC since you bring it up. I actually wanted. I was going to wait for a little bit later, but this is a good time to bring that up because let's be honest, you guys have both of you said everything that I was going to ever say in my life about this game within the past 8 minutes. So we'll still continue. Don't worry, we'll still continue the podcast. But I mean, you guys said it all pretty much. But let's bring it over to the DLC because. This just, man, we're trying to keep the curses off the podcast, but this is just another little fuck you to the Pokemon fans and the Nintendo fans who,
talking about price.
Oh my God, dude! Like this, it's everything, not just price, but like the 3 patches that have really done not enough. They've done so much. There is so much in these patches, but it's still not enough. That just goes to say how broken these games were to begin with. Then we get the statement about how their performance. We're gonna address that 6 months later. 6 months later, still haven't addressed that. But what they have addressed. Guys, if you didn't give us enough money the first time, just hold your horses. Now you can give us $70 more.
Yeah. If you want both DLCs.
If you want both DLCs, which a lot of Pokemon fans do get both games.
I did. I paid for them. Yep.
And
you can't get that money back. You can't get that money back on
3 times. I have it twice digitally and once physically.
You can't get that money back on a pre-order either for DLC. Like there's no refunds. So if you change your mind, you can't get it back.
Listen, if it was the most expensive DLC I've ever seen personally that I had any interest in was the Breath of the Wild DLC, which I believe was $20, if I'm not mistaken, $25 maybe. Excuse me. I did see Monster Hunter released a DLC last year or 2 years ago. The Sunbreak DLC that was like $40, right? But that was like a whole brand new game. A brand new game. So much so that that's basically become like their standard package when they sell you Monster Hunter Rise. They basically sell you Sunbreak in addition to, because it's like you're getting 2 games for one. That's like they package it together. But my point I'm trying to make here is that the game released in a state of dismay, is that a word? And like before they did. I'm not saying they didn't do any updates. They definitely did some updates, and there's a lot of stuff in it. But it's still at the end of the day, those updates were not enough.
It's not enough.
And on top of that, in the middle of their update cycle, their patch cycle, they're like, hey. More money, please. Here's some updates. DLC. Which I'll let you go next, Tyson, because you have a strong opinion about this. Not in my opinion, the games are fine the way they are, but Tyson is under the belief that they're unfinished and that the DLC is going to finish the game for it. And if that's the case, and I trust his Pokemon opinion, if that's the case, we're talking about a game that costs with its DLC $95 to be complete. It was released in a garbage state, and 6 months after its release, it's still not fixed. Not just acceptable.
Until the DLC.
Not just acceptable. We're not talking about it's not an acceptable level. It's not fixed because it was broken to start. We need to fix it first. Let's fix the hole in the boat, and then let's go ahead and reassure it. They haven't even fixed the hole. It's still leaking.
That's right.
And they're like, hey, well, here's a new boat. It's in a boat attachment. Okay, my boat's currently sinking, but I'll buy your boat attachment to make my boat cooler. Yeah, it'll be sunk in a few minutes, but I mean, why not? Tyson, talk about the fact that the game's unfinished.
Well, it is, man. It's just, everybody knows it at this point. And look, are they enjoyable games to play? Yeah, until you reach a certain point, but there's only so much you can do. And like I said before, the only thing keeping me playing now is those 7-star raids that come out. Like this most recent one they've announced is Inteleon, and that's the chameleon Pokemon from Sword and Shield. And it's cool to see those Pokemon, but do you want to know how many Inteleons I have in my Pokemon home? I don't need another one. It's not exciting for me. And that's the silly thing with these 7-star raids. I can catch these Pokemon in this game, sure, but I have Pokemon Home with it sitting in there already. And okay, is it a special Terra type in Scarlet Violet in this raid? Sure, but I can use Terra shards to convert that at any point in time. I don't need this. It's silliness. And so, but when we talk about how the game released unfinished, all they're doing, and I hate to say this because, but I am a little salty, so I'm going to be honest about it. But all they're really doing is keeping enough interest until the DLC comes. That's all they're doing. Now, there is a strong competitive component to Pokemon, and some would actually argue that this is the best competitive Pokemon has ever been. I will say that the competitive is fun, but if you look over the patch notes that we just got, like there's a plethora of bugs that they fixed in this 1.3 update, and there's still probably plenty more that I'm not even aware of because I haven't been playing a whole ton of Pokemon lately. So
while you bring that up, let's read that. We got fixed a bug in Link battles where selecting swap.
There's so many.
Just before the selection timer reaches 0 could fail to switch in the selected Pokemon and subsequently cause switching the battle itself to act abnormally.
What?
Like, it's not. Listen, when I read patch notes for games, it's always like, we fixed
Bizarre, man.
We fixed the texture issue. We fixed his left foot. He had 2 left feet instead of 1 left and 1 right. This is like, that's the first one. Fixed it's a long fixed a bug in Link battles where once the remaining time for battles was under 1 minute, it would no longer be displayed where it was supposed to. Okay, that's a weird one. That's kind of weird. Fixed a bug that occurred in Link battles. Again, Link battles. I get the 3rd update for Link battles. This is the 3rd. This is not a 0.1 patch. This is 0.3. Okay, guys?
This should have been a day 1 patch. If anything at all, day 1. This should have been in the day 1 patch.
That occurred in Link battles where, depending on the move being used at the time the Pokemon fainted, the amount of time a trainer received to select their next Pokemon was reduced. Like they're less. That's just silly. It's a silly little thing.
Well, those are Link battles, and then there's the other category there where they've got battles, and so but those battle bugs affect all battles. So like the first one, I'll just read the first one. It says fixed a bug where Cudchew ability would trigger again once every 2 turns after it triggered the first time, contrary to what is written in the ability description. So it wasn't coded properly. And
it wasn't coded properly.
It's just wild. It's funny they've got it under the battle category, but that would affect all battles. That would affect everything. That would affect all battles. And that's what's silly about it is like that's what Pokemon's bread and butter is that after you complete the game, after you complete the story of the game, you have this entire wide meta that opens up to you with competitive battling. And the fact that it's just so horribly broken in these games is really what leads to people like me feeling like there's no reason for me to play it because it's just not a complete game. You know, every Pokemon game launches with a few bugs or whatever, but these games, it's just unlike anything we've ever seen in a Pokemon game. And it's funny because you'll see on Twitter, if you follow like Joe Merrick or, you know, I won't name too many people because I feel like it's in poor taste to actually name names, but there's so many people just defending it. And it's like, guys, it's okay. Like, I understand it's your favorite franchise. It's mine too, but it's okay to say these games were not complete. And I think for me, as someone who is a really, really big fan of the Pokemon franchise, who loves it, I love it. I love everything about it. I love the stories. I love the lore, and then I love the thinking. I love outsmarting people in competitive battles. I love that aspect of it. It's okay for us to say like this could have used another 1.5 years, maybe 2 years in the oven. It's okay to say that. Like you don't have to apologize for it. Like. This game just needed more time. And I think more people, this is just me, but I think more people should actually be in support of Game Freak here because I am sure that Game Freak is under the gun. And I guarantee you they all hate these release schedules. Like as far as individual developers go, they have to hate working under that level of pressure because it's got to be just a massive ton of pressure. So that's where I'm at with that. But like, you know, we were talking about the DLC before and the price. And then basically waiting for a complete game. Sorry, did you have something?
I just wanted to get Fappy in there. If Fappy had anything to kind of
go ahead.
We haven't talked to Fappy in a while.
Sorry, I was patiently listening. The one thing I will point out is you mentioned like people defending the game and everything. Those same people, and I was one of them at one point. And I will still defend this game for what it's worth, and that's not a lot lately, but I will defend the parts I like. However. The major argument a couple years ago with Sword and Shield was the national dex cut. Imagine if we had all 1,000 something Pokemon in this game with this amount of bugs. And then it continued into even more bugs because you had more Pokemon that existed in the world instead of what we currently have, which is 400 and something. Like, people have to realize this shit takes a lot of time. And as you said, another year and a half in the oven would have done it wonders.
Bro, I'm a Zelda fan. We waited we waited 6 years for Tears of the Kingdom. It's gonna be fucking sick.
Do you want to know why I keep saying another year and a half to 2 years? Because the development cycle for this game, it's been in development for a long time, but the release cycle is every 3 years we get a new Pokemon game. But I bring that up because you only see Zelda games like once every 6 years. Like, that's just how it works. And they delay them when they know that it's not up to par. And the unfortunate reality for Pokemon is that it's such a massive franchise that Game Freak doesn't have that luxury. And that's what I'm driving at, is the machine is much bigger than Game Freak. Game Freak doesn't. Zelda is Zelda. It's a game franchise. There's a little bit of merchandise out there, but there's not really an anime. There's not cards. There's not really as much driving. So they do have the luxury of delaying
celebrations.
Yeah. We're a little salty about that, but no, I think that that's the problem, is this bigger conglomerate machine when it comes to Pokemon. And I think really they're just hurting themselves. You've got, I won't name names, but there's a prominent Pokemon content creator that I've always looked up to and respected, that is starting his own thing. And he's never outright said this, but you can kind of tell that he's kind of salty on the whole Pokemon thing, just because they're really abandoning just kind of their core. They're forgetting
their traditional values.
Yeah, and it's really sad to see. I really think they're hurting themselves, but it is what it is. And I mean, something will eventually take its place, I suppose. But when it comes to those,
I'm a firm believer in, like, they'll fail so much, and the community will get so mad that they'll be like, oh well, okay, now we have to fix it and we have to do better. And maybe. I'm hoping for that as a worst case scenario. If they realize before that, then fantastic. But I think, the Pokemon, the monster collecting and taming gaming genre is exploding, especially with like indie games. I do think
and Temtem, I think, was set.
Yeah, Temtem's a big one, and they can't. They still, I don't care what anybody tells you, they don't hold a candle to Pokemon. Still, they just don't.
I would agree. That's with that. Seeing of what I've seen of the games, I would agree.
They
with
don't.
That.
They don't hold a candle to Pokemon. But the truth is that at some point, if Pokemon continues down this path as a whole, like it will not. It's inevitable that something else is going to take its place.
So, like, I think your definition of this path and my definition of this path, well, we both agree it's a bad path.
Mm-hmm.
I think we have different definitions of what that path actually is that we think they're going down. What path do both you and Fappy think that Pokemon is headed right now?
Fappy, I'll let you go first. Yeah,
I can sum it up pretty well for me. I think the path they're currently on leads to money talks more than community. And when you have such a big fan base, literally the biggest franchise in the world, when you have such a big fan base, I do not understand how. Well, actually, sort of, I do understand. That they can immediately say, well, there'll always be people buying Pokemon. It doesn't matter if some people are mad, the rest of them will buy. And it's become such a corporate version of something that should be beloved for the companies. And it's got to be the higher ups, like the people developing the games. They love it, otherwise they wouldn't be there. Like, yes. They've had the same people making the games for years. I haven't heard of them hiring anyone new in a long time. And when they outsourced to one American developer, he made a few things in the game and stuff, and like he loved his experience there, but then ended up leaving. So it was like,
are you talking about James Turner?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, he's from the UK actually.
Sorry. I thought he was
Give
American.
us a lowdown on James Turner, because a lot of our audience probably doesn't know who that is.
He's the creator of the ice cream Pokemon.
Yeah, he I believe he was the new art director. He designed a lot of the new Pokemon starting with Gen 5, so that would be Black, White, Black 2, and White 2. His name is James Turner. He's from the United Kingdom. Really, really talented art designer. He did a lot of the new designs basically from Gen 5 onward. And he's actually, if you guys have seen You know, this isn't a James Turner plug or whatever, but his art's really what's the word I'm looking for? It's really iconic. Yeah. So, what's that? Vanillish is one of them. Vanillite, Vanillish, Vanillex. So that one's Vanillish that we're looking at right there on stream. But
it's literally an ice cream cone with like smiley face.
Yeah,
but it looks cool.
He did a lot of good designs, but no, it's James Turner is who Fappy was referencing there, but he's now left to form his own development studio, but it has to be because, you know, he's a professional, and so he hasn't really said why. I'm sure at some point there will probably be some book released or some documentary done on why he left the Pokemon Company and Game Freak, but he's left to start his own development studio. If you guys have seen that game, The Plucky Squire, it's an independent game. It's him and I believe one other gentleman that are developing that game. So it's a really neat looking game, but yeah, he's no longer with Game Freak.
Yeah. So Tyson, what do you, I don't think I heard exactly. Maybe hopefully you didn't say it right. What is the path?
Your path.
Yeah, what's the path that you think Pokemon is taking?
You know, this is
it
nothing
different than Fappy's?
Well, okay, so the way that I'll put it is, the truth is this release schedule is nothing new for Pokemon. If you kind of look back at the release schedule for every new generation, it's been pretty much the same over the last, you know, decade
this
plus.
Is true. This is
little
true.
Instance of difference, about 6 months to a year. Yeah.
The games were.
I
mean, not that I don't want to take. I don't want to say that the games were simple, but like, let's be honest here. Those games to develop were much different than the games that they have to develop now. So I don't know if that's a good point because like,
well, the way that I would put it is like it's not. I guess the way that I would describe it, the path hasn't changed over the years, but the content's changed. So we are used to seeing a new Pokemon generation release every 3 to 4 years. That's happened over the last decade plus. It's just been decade plus. I mean, really on down to, you know, even DS days and before. Like we've gotten pretty consistent releases every 3 to 4 years of new generations. So that hasn't changed. But what has changed is the amount of sheer content. Because of every new Pokemon that they have to design, because that's what draws new people in, and that's what keeps the competitive meta from being stagnant, is having new monsters for every generation in every region. So I think the biggest problem for Game Freak and for Pokemon where it comes is the sheer number of models they have to build per new generation because of the new games. But the volume of things that they must develop has basically grown exponentially. Let's put it that way, right? It's grown exponentially. The things that they have to develop for one game that are split into two, right, has grown over the years exponentially, and they're still given the same release window. And I think so. The path that I'm looking at is, if you continue down this path of every 3 to 4 years we get a new generation, and it's really 3 years. Every 3 years we get a brand new generation. That is to the franchise's own destruction of their reputation and possibly really the game's value as a whole. I would really like to see. I do not have a problem with the vision of Scarlet and Violet, the potential of Scarlet and Violet, what they could have been. It's all there. The structure's there. The problem is they didn't
around it.
There was no time. There was they literally had.
Let's go for real fat. Let's go. I don't know, when was BDSP? Was that 2021? That was November of 2021 was BDSP was released. Okay.
Yes, I believe so. Yeah.
January of 2022. Arceus was released, and I know you two feel differently about Arceus than I do in terms of like how good of a game it was and how I believe Arceus could easily be a replacement of the whole franchise.
But even then,
game direction. But then later in November of 2022. Now we're 1 year to the date, basically.
Yep.
The third Pokemon game, big Pokemon game. Arceus was big game in 3 years. The third one in 3 years. The first of those games, BDSP, had issues at launch and also was deemed a kind of failure from a lot of people.
The difference,
Arceus was great, but was made by a completely different team.
Well, we have to keep in mind though too that you have to keep in mind though. So
BDSP wasn't made by Game Freak.
It wasn't made by Game Freak. It was made by Ilka. So it that is kind of off in its own category. So like BDSP kind of gets eliminated from that conversation a little bit.
Let's look at it like this. Instead of looking at like Ilka and whoever did Arceus and whoever did Scarlet, let's look at it like this. Pokemon resources were used to make BDSP, were used to make Arceus, and were used to make Scarlet. If you just take those 3 teams and go, make a Pokemon
Develop
game,
a new
baby.
generation.
The 3 teams are going to make it all together. Take all the resources that you have at your disposal to make Pokemon games. Let's get them all together. Let's work together.
I'm fine with that, yeah.
Because as some people in our chat was saying earlier, which I agree with, there was parts of Arceus that I believe that were not in Scarlet and Violet that I think should have been.
Oh yeah,
and
the
vice
throwing
versa.
mechanics. Yeah,
and
the throwing
vice
mechanics
versa.
were really
there
good.
were parts of Arceus, Scarlet and Violet that should be in Scarlet. I'm sorry. There was parts of Scarlet that should have been in Arceus that were not there.
Yep.
And if how about this, guys? How about we don't release the game in January or November? Let's release the game in January of 2023. And no Arceus, no Scarlet. Just scrap both those games. Work together. Make a new one for
new generation. Yep. No. Look, you and I are in complete agreement on that. I played Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum to death. I would be willing. Now it's become tradition at this point to where remakes are almost expected in the Pokemon community. Yeah. But at the point, like I said, because of that exponential growth and just the sheer amount of monsters that they have to put into every new generation that requires more development time, assets, all of that stuff. Dude, I'm with you 100%. I like BDSP. It was fun to play through. Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl was fun to play through for one time or whatever. But dude, I've never touched the game since. I played through each one.
I sold both. I bought both. I was excited and I sold them.
Well, they were buggy. They were really buggy. And then but I'm with you. So I'm actually in agreement there. Yes. Because Game Freak did develop both. They did develop both Legends Arceus and Scarlet Violet. So at the very least, take those 2 teams and honestly sacrifice Legends Arceus for as good as a game as it was, but just take all of that time and effort and resources and just make the new generation. Just make Gen 9. We didn't need Arceus. And the thing about Arceus was a lot of people, I don't know that a lot of people look at this, and it's not that I'm anything special, but a lot of people really complain that we didn't get like an Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire version of Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, where it was basically just a copy paste remake, and then we got Arceus. But what people don't realize is that the reason you got a copy paste Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl is because instead of making you like a remake with more content like Heart Gold Soul Silver or Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, was because of this current generation. That's what Legends Arceus was. That's where Game Freak put their effort. That's where so instead of giving you a remake, you got a new style of game that went along.
You got 2 compatible games that went with each other.
Yes. So you got 2 games, but I am with you, Geeb. I am with you. Look, at some point we got to let the nostalgia.
I'm also in agreement with this too. Like I just have to say quick, I also believe they should just get all their resources together, combine it all. Even Ilka, bring Ilka in, get them all in, and then make Let's Go Johto. I'm just saying, let's go Johto.
How do we mute him?
Just say shrimp on the Barbie 3 times and I'll leave.
Shrimp on the Barbie, shrimp on the Barbie, shrimp on the Barbie.
All right, disconnecting call. Bye.
But no, I think
I completely agree.
That's where I'm at, man. Is Geeb? It's really nice actually to kind of like I think we all kind of approach the argument from different directions, but it seems as though we
same point.
We center on the same thing. Dude, make the new generation. It's the first real open world Pokemon game, and it could have been so much better if they just look. We didn't need Arceus.
If they didn't suck.
Yeah, well, take everything that you had from Arceus. They did. Agreed. Take everything you have from all of that and just put it into the Generation 9 that could have been. But that's the way that I'm looking at Scarlet and Violet at this point right now. And we'll see. I'm still holding out a thread of hope and faith that the DLC completes Scarlet and Violet. I don't know that they will at this point. The only reason I say that or have any hope that they will is because it did for Sword and Shield. But the way that things are going, I don't know. But I would have much preferred them to just just get rid of. We didn't need Arceus. As good as a game as it is, it's good. It's good for a playthrough. It's like Zelda meets Pokemon. It's fantastic. But I would have much preferred just don't even make it and give Gen 9 the treatment that it should have been given. Meaning that we would have had elements of Arceus in it. We would have had all of the good stuff from Arceus with all the good stuff from Scarlet and Violet, and it would have been the revolutionary open world Pokemon game that everybody thought that we were getting. Instead of this,
it would have been finished on time.
Yes. And instead we got this
let's
beautiful
paint this
fire.
picture. Let's paint, because there's a lot of Zelda fans in this community. Let's paint this picture. I love my analogies. Let's do this. Let's just entertain me for a
Here
minute.
we go.
We got Skyward Sword, which was lots of issues. Lots of people didn't like it.
Like the original one on the Wii?
Yeah, sure. And it was a really good game, though. I think it was a really good game.
Amen.
But there was just tons of issues with it. It wasn't perfect, and there was room for improvement. And in this fake world I'm making here, let's pretend that Breath of the Wild wasn't good. So then we get Breath of the Wild, which introduces this open world game of Zelda, changes the formula in a good way, but they just missed the mark. That's not what happened, luckily, but let's just pretend that's what happened. But in between that, Zelda was like, let's release Link's Awakening remake, and it sucked. And let's release a Link to the Past, just like ported. Just here's a port. We spent some resources and time. Here's buy a Switch cartridge with a Link to the Past on it, the original game, and like just a bunch of weird random things in between. You know, when we all know after Skyward Sword, they should have been fixing the game for the next game, Breath of the Wild. They should have been making the game better, but instead they spent more time doing weird other things, and they made a Zelda movie in that time frame. We're like, what the crap is this? Why did Illuminations make a comedy of Zelda? I don't know what's going on. They're making Squishmallows and Beanie Babies, and like we're all just like, but the games, guys. And it's like what did they do? Why? I know why. Let's just say it. The reason why is money. They, and Drip and I were on the phone. Drip and I talked about this last week earlier. Sorry, Drip and I were on the phone earlier. Drip and I talked last week on the pod, like Nintendo, and this kind of goes for Pokemon as well. Game Freak, not Game Freak, the Pokemon Company, and Nintendo. They don't care. They don't like us. We love the products. We love the services they provide. You know, especially Pokemon fans. The Pokemon fans love Pokemon more than
we're rabid,
most
dude.
Franchises. They're rabid. You're foaming at the mouth for every game. But for some reason, any chance they can get to I've already cursed a couple times. I'm going to do it again. Fuck us in the butt. They take that chance. Any chance they can. They're like, we don't care. Y'all are our cash cows. We're going to take your teats and milk you for all that you got. And we're going to continue to do what we want to do. And make what we want to make, and get these insane profits. And in return, you're gonna give us your loyalty. You're gonna give us your loyalty. You're gonna buy our games on release day. But in return, we're gonna do nothing for you. In fact, we're gonna release broken games. We're going it is just really picture like Beanie Babies. Yeah, I said it. It's just really upsetting. It's really upsetting.
I think one of the people that really irks me the most, and he's not here in the chat tonight, but I think one of the people that irks me the most over this, but I've never been in more agreement with him, is Alex of Switch Corner. When he says it's just all about that money, but so in this case, look, we all got to make $1. We have families to feed. But I think, it's right. If you look at the numbers, man, like they don't make anywhere near as much off of their games that they do their merchandise or anything else. Their cards are really big.
Yeah, we didn't even mention the cards. I mean, that's huge.
So, and that's the thing is, like, the truth is, if we all want to be honest with ourselves, the truth about the games is that they really are kind of the redheaded stepchild. They know that they have to release them. But they're not really the big money makers for the Pokemon Company or Nintendo as a whole. It's not in
any way, shape, or form.
It's the merch, dude. It's the merch. The merch is the continuous cash cow. The games are just kind of what's canon, and that's what kind of keeps the story rolling. So that's kind of why they know that they need them. But when it comes to,
sorry,
go ahead.
I was just gonna probably offend you for a second. I know that you guys love your original Pokemon games a lot. I mean, I bought them on the 3DS. I played them as a kid. My brother had them. I played on his Game Boy and on my Game Boy. They're fun games. let's not kid ourselves. Even for the games that came out during that time period, of the
They
early
had so many
2000s,
problems. They had so
Yes.
many problems.
Yeah, they had a lot of problems, yes, but like they also just, let's be frank, they kind of sucked. Like if you looked at other game, I know you're not gonna agree, but I'm gonna say it because a lot of us think this. Like they just weren't better than other games that were out there at the same time. Like if you look at the Mario games, I mean different series, but like come on, it's pixels on a square screen for a Game Boy. They're a great competition. Any Game Boy game was competition with the next Game Boy game. And like there were just so many better games to buy in Pokemon. That didn't mean that Pokemon didn't sell well. I'm not saying that at all. I understand Pokemon sold well and was good, in terms of like fan approval and stuff. But like they just weren't that good at games. This is my one bad opinion for the episode. They just weren't that good. They weren't that good at games on any of those.
That's what I was saying
Pokemon
before,
games.
where they were always 2 steps behind every other game company for some reason.
Even back then they were focused on the shows and the merch and the cards. Like the games were just kind of there. They were fun. They were repeat. They put a game out game after game after game, and they're the same freaking game with very minor upgrades. Always had issues. It's never been the focus. It's just never been the focus.
Yeah. I mean, minor upgrades, maybe. It depends on the way you look at it. Definitely minor upgrades to like a more casual player that maybe like the target audience, you know what I mean? For sure. Every generation really does come with significant updates, no matter how small they might look to someone that really isn't, involved in like the deeper meta of the game. But I do understand what you're saying. The thing is like, I think since Gen, like I say this a lot, guys, but it's just true. And if you don't believe me, Hari's in the chat right now. You guys can ask Hari. But Gen 5 is the best generation. Pokemon really did peak at Generation 5 with Black, White, Black 2, White 2. And
DS Pokemon games
because it's based in America.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, look, Merca, Merca.
I still don't have an Australian region yet. I'm so sad.
We will at some point. But the thing is I say that just because Geeb kind of brought up like how some of the older games aren't good, and like looking at it in like a traditional JRPG sense, like they're all pretty good. But I kind of tend to agree. Like it's really hard to go back and play Red and Blue nowadays. Like they're not really like they're fun for nostalgia's sake, but they're really not fun for like the sake of playing a whole game. Or even Gold and Silver, but like obviously play Heart Gold, Soul Silver instead of Gold and Silver. Those are really good games. But the point that I'm making is like Pokemon still is good in its past, and honestly, I would really say that they did much better in the past with handling the franchise. Black and White and Black 2, White 2 were complete games when they launched. Really, really good competitive meta. That really reinvigorated the franchise on a competitive level. There was lots of good that came out of that. And I really think that ever since, this is just, again, this is just my opinion, but really ever since Black and White and Black 2, White 2, the franchise just lost its magic. Not shortly after did we get X and Y on the 3DS. And they were good games. I'm not really slighting them. They were really, really good games for the most part, but they just, ever since then, the magic of Pokemon, what made it great, whatever that element is that I really can't even put my finger on, has just kind of like downward trended ever since Gen 6. Gen 6 kind of like led the charge of this downward trend of Pokemon. And that's the way that I would put it.
I gotta say this, Tyson, though, because I talked about this in my review for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet on my YouTube account, and I've talked about it on the podcast in the past. I will say this. I think that there was some magic in Scarlet and Violet. They did hit some of that magic. It was blanketed by issues, low gravity beams, side quests, glitches, clipping. There was magic in these games. I do believe that. I still feel that. I have the Japanese double pack box art because I love it so much back there. Like I do not playing any other Pokemon games really. Like the last Pokemon game I played for any real amount of time was Pokemon Go during the Pokemon Go phase. Like I did play some of Let's Go. I didn't play any Shield. I played one of DS that I didn't like.
You should go back and revisit Shield, dude. For real, you should.
I didn't play Shield at all.
You should.
I'll probably pick up a used copy for real cheap some in the future. I'm sure.
I would be interested, not to interrupt you, but I would definitely be interested to hear if you could tough it through a Shield playthrough. I would love to hear.
The differences,
I would, yes, I would love to hear it.
I need to give it a chance because how much I like these games.
I would also like to
Violet.
hear that. That would.
I would love to hear it. They're colorful. They're vibrant. Like they are structural. They're linear. They're not open except for
they
like
look
the
better
wild
than
areas.
this game. That's for damn sure.
Amen.
I'm in a much different boat to Ty in regards to where I feel like Pokemon peaked. I honestly believe Pokemon peaked at Heart Gold, Soul Silver. I think that was one of the better games they've ever made. And then they had a drop for a bit. X and Y started to raise it a little bit, but still stayed on a steady level. And then as soon as they went Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire, peak again. Some reason, it was so top tier.
Yes,
and
agreed.
it was perfection. I couldn't find a problem with it. And
I have to agree there, 100%.
As someone who played from Gen 1 all the way through, seeing Gen 3 remakes that were like to the T perfection with extra stuff added in.
Yep.
It was so good. And then, Sword and Shield took a little bit of getting used to for me after we had Sun and Moon. I didn't really like Sun and Moon or Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, but I can understand why people love them. And then once we got Sword and Shield, I immediately struggled to get into it. As soon as I got about 2 hours into it, I was loving it. And when they did the DLC, I felt like that was then a complete game.
Yes.
And it was a full phase transition into what Pokemon can be again, and it peaked again. Yeah, they've done multiple peaks throughout their series of games, and these 3 games in particular, Heart Gold, Soul Silver, Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire, and Sword and Shield, they have peaked heavily. Yeah. So I honestly believe they have a couple wins, couple losses, and it just generally happens. And I feel like Gen 10, from everything they're getting from this, even Nintendo's statement on Gen 9 and how it was released, saying that they are sorry for it, that's never happened. Nintendo has never apologized for that.
I'm gonna be the Debbie Downer here and say I have zero hope for Gen 10. I don't.
And that's absolutely fine. That's absolutely fine.
Any hope for Gen 10.
Just saying, if Nintendo is apologizing for them, they have to nip it in the butt and say like.
But then Nintendo needs to give them the resource. This is the problem.
That's true. That's true as well.
Like Nintendo is also part of Pokemon Company. You've got Creatures, you've got Nintendo, and you've got Game Freak, I believe, are the 3 companies that make up the Pokemon Company.
Yep.
Like it is one thing for Nintendo to step in and say words, give resources, do something. And maybe look, I would love to live in a world where maybe Gen 9 suffered so badly because they're currently developing Gen 10. I will look, if I got to suffer through one generation for just
no, you're wishful thinking now. You're just wishful
no,
thinking.
I'm not wishful thinking. This isn't my thinking. This is just I'm just giving an example. I'm speaking 100% rhetorically and hypothetically.
Okay.
This is not the way I'm thinking. Because like I said, I go back to the original statement, Geeb. Like I have no hope for Gen 10, sir. But if this is the case, which I don't think it is, I would be willing to suffer through one bad generation if it meant that Gen 10 was just mind-blowing. But look, do you want to know where we're going to get in Gen 10? I'm going to predict it right now. Mark it on this podcast. However, whatever the timestamp is, we are getting Legends Arceus mechanics mixed with standard mechanics that we saw, in the more traditional games like Scarlet, Violet, Sword and Shield, all the way down. That's what your Gen 10 will be. And so it
better be. It freaking better be, dude.
But see, the thing is, the problem with that is we've all experienced it already. So it's not special anymore. And so it's not going to blow anybody's mind.
That's a good point. That's a great point.
I'll raise a point. If they did something in Gen 10 where for some reason, a culmination of all the specialties of the last couple generations of Pokemon games came together, I would lose my freaking mind about that. Like Z moves, Mega Evolution, Terastallization, and Dynamax. If that all came to fruition, I know, but I'm just saying, if they had the ability to have certain arenas that did certain things, and it was a huge game, that would be cool.
Super Smashmon. Like, dude, Smashmon, cool. Custom arenas. Oh, dude, I'm here for that. That's cool. You know what they need to do? They need to quit with this.
Rebrand Pokemon Stadium. You could rebrand Pokemon Stadium.
Dude, so do you guys remember me saying this?
Make
you
a game
guys
where you
remember?
become a gym leader.
Do you guys
Pokemon
remember
RPG,
me?
baby.
Well, listen, like, do you remember me saying this back in the days of Arceus? I think it was like right before Arceus launched. I was kind of the opinion, like, hey, maybe they give us Pokemon Stadium on the Switch. Like, it's so here's what I think would be the coolest thing that they could possibly do is look, you guys know, and some of the chat here might be familiar with my opinions on Arceus. I do think it's a must play, but I do think as far as a mainline Pokemon game, it's not up to snuff. I do think everybody should play it because it's exactly what you would want out of a game that meshes like Dark Souls or Zelda or something like that with Pokemon. Very, very good action style RPG that's got time-based RPG mechanics. It's great. It's an excellent game. But as far as like a mainline Pokemon game, it's not up to snuff. But here's what I was saying before the launch of Arceus. You guys might remember this, is what if they gave us, I would be here for this, by the way, give us Arceus style games where it's action oriented. You catch all the Pokemon you can. It's quicker.
Get the mythical at the end.
Streamlined battles. You can get the mythicals, all that. Where there's no competitive battling, there's none. And that's my biggest problem with it is it takes away all of the things that make a Pokemon game is Arceus. But then you've got home. So home is at the center of these games. So if you have all these adventure style Pokemon games, home is at the center. You can transfer everything into home and then build a stadium game outside of that then becomes your competitive focus. So you don't need competitive battling anymore in your adventure style Pokemon games because your competitive game is now separate. And then on top of that, you can transfer every single Pokemon becomes compatible with that stadium version. That's what I would like to see.
So you got in your left hand Pokemon competitive, and then on your right hand you got Pokemon Adventure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the competitive is just a mainstay hub for all the adventure games to send Pokemon to. I like that. I really like that.
I think that's cool. The way. Honestly, I think for Pokemon, that's the way to move forward. That's my opinion. That's the way to move forward.
That's a great opinion. I love that. That's way better. That's
where I'm at.
Your stinky opinion from earlier. What was that opinion?
Super Mario Brothers movie is just super peachio. I rest my case.
Yeah. Stinky
opinion from Tyson.
Okay. Did we want to finish up these bug fixes? Because there's a couple more to go over still.
We might have run out of time.
No, Fappy. The answer is no.
I talked way too much.
No, it's not that we run out of time. It's that I don't care anymore. I don't care about the. Fappy, no, I know you love Pokemon, but like, no offense, I don't care about.
No. I don't. I was actually checking in because I didn't care about the rest of it either. The mainstay was the egg stuff that I was talking about earlier.
Good. Yeah. No, I don't care about the bug fixes.
I do have something I want to mention though, because Ty was me and Ty are on opposite wavelengths right now with like he's bored of the games. I'm still very much
for sure. That's why maybe what I bought you too, honest, for that point. We haven't really gotten to that, but Tyson's kind of bored of the game, and Fappy's playing 6 hours a day the last few
It's not
weeks?
fun.
18 hours in the last 3 days, and I'm going to play after this podcast. So
it's insane. So I don't know. How do you want to take this, Fappy?
All right. So the thing I will mention is, you know what really helps? You know, if you've ever played Pokemon, which I'm sure a lot of you have, you have this. You've probably seen the anime, right? You've probably seen Ash going on his adventure or whatever, or any other character. That's
how a lot of. I want to say this real fast, Fappy. That's how a lot of us were introduced to Pokemon, whether we took with it or not. A lot of us as kids were introduced to the anime.
And that's the premise that you sort of want representation for in the games. Exactly. You know, you want to go on this adventure with your Pokemon, with your friends.
That's my review.
And go do stuff. Violet and Scarlet, they did this thing for the game, and Sword and Shield did it too. Sword and Shield introduced the camping mechanic where you can camp out with your Pokemon and interact with them and play with them and stuff like that. It was in X and Y, and it was in a couple of those other games, but it was just like Pokemon and me, and you could just brush your Pokemon and that's it. You had actual interactions with your Pokemon, and it was very similar to Pokemon Snap and stuff like that, where you'd have actual expressions come out of them and everything like that.
Snap.
But you have this premise in Scarlet and Violet where you have a picnic, you can kick a ball around with your Pokemon, you can do all this stuff with your Pokemon. And the reason I've put so much time and effort in the last 3 days into Pokemon again, and before that it was like every weekend, maybe a couple hours, whatever. The last 3 days though is because I started watching the anime again. And while I was watching the anime, I was playing. And the Master Journey series is on Netflix. I chucked it on. It's only 40-something episodes for the first half of the season or whatever.
Only.
Well, it's like
It's a lot of
half
episodes.
Yeah, because it's not the finale of the whole show. That
Sure.
they haven't done that yet, and I don't have Crunchyroll or anything. Shout out to Japanese anime streams, but yeah,
And the weebs. Shout out to all the weebs out there.
yeah.
We
But
love y'all.
I haven't had a chance to catch up with the rest of it. So I've watched every anime up to Diamond and Pearl, then stopped, and then I caught up with Journeys, and Journeys is kind of cool because it's in the Sword and Shield arc and era, and you have this point where it's not introducing anything Scarlet and Violet, but what it is doing is they are constantly going and catching more and more Pokemon, and it's something they haven't done before. Every episode, the character Go is catching more and more Pokemon. Ash is also getting stronger and stronger and getting ready for this big tournament, and it's this one thing for me where I was sitting down and I was playing the game and I was watching, and there was this I guess like a link between them where I felt like I actually have a solid team in my game and I really want to battle with them. I really want to go into competitive with them. I did link battles, I did all this stuff with them. And then I thought, oh, I really want to hunt for a really good Pokemon. And then I saw, Ash catch a Pokemon or whatever. And then I was like, oh, I want to do that. I want to pick something that I know I'm going to really like in my team. And it just brought me back to my childhood a little bit. And it gave me a nostalgia effect. And that's why I've put so much effort into the game recently. Because for some reason, having the show on in the background and watching it, it puts you in that mode and that mindset. And I'll tell you what, the Pokemon Company are intelligent as all hell because they know how to get you. They know how to grip you, especially if you're an avid game player. Because
nostalgia is a powerful tool.
Yeah, and like I don't know if it's because the series is over now in Japan and they're starting Pokemon Horizons, which doesn't have Ash and doesn't have any of the old
Thank
characters.
goodness.
Yeah, I'm
Let him
excited
die.
for it. I'm looking forward to it because Ash needs to grow. No, I'm honestly, Geeb,
He's been 10 for 25 years.
Technically, this
So
is a
have
funny
I,
thing too.
Tyson. So have I.
This is a funny thing too. As the series ends, technically he's 14.
Okay.
Technically he's 14. There's
Okay,
like
well,
there's weird little bits that
He's got
He's
pubes
been
now.
a teenager for 25 years. Let's go.
But yeah, I for some reason I just had this fascination with the idea of sitting down and watching because I had the spare time to do it, and I just sat down and watched, and it was just me on my own on the couch, and I was just playing Pokemon as I was going and having a good time. Like I haven't done that in a very long time, and it felt really good. So I highly recommend any Pokemon players to just sit down and watch a bit of anime while you play the game and see how you go. It's also bringing me back into some of the older games. Like I never want to play BDSP again. I never want to play Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl ever again.
Yeah.
However, I'm gonna Nuzlocke again because I, for some reason, got pulled into it again from watching the anime again.
You want to know what game that I've been thinking about playing just because I need something else to do in my gaming life, I suppose, that I don't want to play. I've considered playing Let's Go, and then I slap myself back into reality and remind myself how horrible that game is, and I'm not ever going to touch it.
Good decision. Tyson, any response to Fappy's his lovely little thing he just said there?
Man, I really don't know. So without dragging the rest of the podcast down and getting into my personal life, I've got a lot of other things going on in my personal life right now. So the truth is, for me, I don't know if
took your beard off.
Yeah, my beard's gone. I'm sad.
Your personal life just ripped the beard right off.
Yeah, I did. But no, there's just a lot of stuff that I'm dealing with, and I'm doing a lot of
That's fair.
doing a lot of soul searching, a lot of maturing, even on my own part. And so maybe this place that I'm coming to with Pokemon really is just me kind of moving past it, I guess. I don't know. But I brought this up in our Discord, our private Discord group. I don't know if you guys saw the message or not, but it's like, maybe it's just my tastes changing. I don't know. All of a sudden out of nowhere, really, I just don't have the same, I don't get the same sense of magic when I play that game. And really any game right now, I've got a lot going on that I need to handle, but I just don't. It's not, if I'm being honest, it's not Pokemon right now, especially Scarlet and Violet. They're not enjoyable for me. It feels the response, I guess, to answer your question, Geeb, to what Fappy said, to contrast what Fappy said, the game is not fun for me. It feels like a chore to play. When in the past, especially with Sword and Shield, having the mechanic like Dynamax was really exciting, really big. They did a good job with it. It was fleshed out.
Big energy, camera angles definitely helped that as well.
Yeah, it was just all there, man. And so I don't, maybe, like I said, it could just be me. Maybe it's me. Maybe my tastes are changing. Maybe I'm maturing a little bit. I don't know. I'm doing a lot of that kind of soul searching, I guess, soul searching right now. So it could be me. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's, maybe it's nothing with Pokemon. Maybe it's just me. But that's where I'm at with the franchise right now. I'm really kind of like, you've lost your magic, and really it is it feels like a job and a slog and a chore to play. It is not fun or enjoyable for me right now. And like I said before, all I'm really doing right now is logging in to get those 7-star raids for whatever reason, even though I have them sitting at home. But normally I'd be doing a lot of competitive battling and a lot of that stuff, exercising my thought capacity, my brain. It's a lot of fun, man, trying to outsmart your opponents, but I'm just not feeling it, man. And like I said, maybe it's me. I don't know. Could be the franchise, could be me, could be both of us, but it's not fun. It's not fun for me right now. So
I just think you're growing through it, bro. I don't think it's like the franchise is gonna still be there no matter what. So if you ever come back to it as heavy as you were, then that's great. If not, you've grown through. It's all good. Doesn't
I'll
really
keep
matter.
playing. I'm excited to see what the DLC brings. Like that all said, because I don't want to sound.
Can we talk about that in a minute too? Because I really want to discuss something in that.
Sure.
Depending on how much time Geeb wants to give to this, but I'm excited about the DLC. I'm excited to see what happens, the potential that there might be with the DLC. I do have, like I said before, that sliver of hope to just kind of reiterate what I talked about before, that the DLC will complete the games. But like we talked about, man, it sure is sad that you got to spend $95 to get a full experience that you should have gotten from the game.
And people
that's where I stand on
complain
that.
about Tears of the Kingdom being 70.
And that's like when you look at that from that perspective, it's only fair to really say that. Like it's only fair. Don't complain about Tears of the Kingdom. They are giving that game its due polish, and there will be DLC for that game, and it'll be worth it. just like the DLC for Breath of the Wild.
Less than 3 weeks away, boys. I cannot wait for that.
Is it bad that I never played the DLC for Breath of the Wild?
You should.
I haven't finished it either, Fappy, but I have
It's
played
fun.
it.
It's fun.
It's not a full extra game. It's not. Don't have that expectation.
No,
but it is. It's it adds like 15 hours.
It's
of fun
a lot of fun
to your Breath of the Wild playthrough.
And one of the most, if not the most challenging bosses in the entire franchise. Really, like it is. But I need to play that boss. But it's but the difference that we're looking at, since you brought it up, Geeb, the DLC with Breath of the Wild. And since we were talking about, we're kind of making the comparison to Legend of Zelda, but I do think it's a fair comparison to make. When you buy Breath of the Wild, you get a complete game, and then the DLC just adds to it. It's additional, but you don't need it. It's not necessary. You don't need it. But it just makes the experience so much more rich. And so when you compare that to really what Pokemon has done ever since coming to console with the Nintendo Switch, starting with Sword and Shield. Even Sword and Shield was really an incomplete game. It was more complete than Scarlet and Violet. I would argue that. But anytime I recommend to anybody, and you guys have probably heard this on my live streams, but anytime I recommend to anybody to play Sword and Shield, I always say, pick up the DLC. It is worth it. And unfortunately, it completes the experience. But it is a lot of fun as a newcomer that comes into a game like Sword and Shield to have the DLC from the get-go, because from very early on in the game, you can experience the DLC, and that's what makes it feel so complete.
Yeah, you could just go there, which is mental to me. Like that's so good.
But that's the contrast of a game like Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, or Tears of the Kingdom. Those DLCs are additive. They are not necessary. When you look at a game like Pokemon Sword and Shield or Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, the DLCs are going to be necessary. They're necessary. You must pay to get the complete experience, and that's the unfortunate truth that I kind of rest on with Pokemon as a franchise.
Guys, Fappy, Tyson, thank you guys so much for joining us. You can find Tyson and Fappy, both of your links are down below. Faptor Race and the Tyson W. You guys are awesome. What a fun conversation this was.
Thank you very much for having me.
Oh, thank you. Wait, let's do a thank you fight. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
I'm
in Utah. We're the most grateful people on the planet.
Everybody, thanks for watching. We're gonna, if you're in the stream, stick around as always. If you guys are listening or watching after the live stream, we're gonna sign off for now. Thank you guys so much for watching.
Thank you guys.
We'll see you guys. Drip will be back next week. Actually, Drip might just be back in a few minutes for the live stream, so apologies to you guys. Oh, wait, is he here? Is that I hear a Drip right now. Before you got Drip, say something. Sign off the episode, Drip.
I don't know what to say. You put me on the spot.
Just tell them how awesome we are, Drip. Just do
say
it.
something.
Sign it off.
Pokemon is awesome, and I'm so glad we got to talk about this tonight. This was great. I'm glad you guys came on. Thank you guys so much for coming. It was a great conversation. I'm glad I could be a part of it.
Thank you for allowing us to be a part of it as well.
It is always a blessing and an honor to be on with you guys. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely great.
We'll see you guys next week.
Later.
Bye.
Yo, I was expecting Drip to say later. You took his later, and I kind of like it.
I
kind of like it.
I let him have it.
That's
I like
beautiful.
it too.
I didn't intend to take it, honestly. It's just
I wasn't going to say it. I wasn't going to say it anyway.
That's so
what an
funny,
asshole.
I kind of feel like
Man, that was great. It's always great.
Yeah, guys, that was
always
good.
great.
Honestly, I've been sitting here down at the computer listening to the probably the better part of it down here, and honestly, I made a couple notes. I want to talk about some stuff, but you guys did great. Yeah, that was amazing.
I kind of feel like I owe you all an apology. I did a lot of talking over of you guys, so I'm my sincerest of apologies. I just
That's
can't
okay,
help myself.
man. I was just sitting listening because I was like, yeah, he's making good points. When can I get in on this? And then you just finished talking. It's like,
I talked a lot, guys. I'm sorry. I made that
You're
the
good,
Tyson
man.
podcast.
You're good.
It's good. It's fun.
It's a podcast. Not that like Drip and I'm not gonna say Drip and I are bad podcasters, but that's one of the reasons I think that's one of the things that people like about our podcast is that we sound more like two dudes having a conversation. over than a formatted podcast. Like that's one of the appeals to us.
Yeah.
But when we have you on, Tyson, it's very refreshing to like just have somebody who just goes. Just like for a long time.
Because I can go forever.
If I didn't pick up conversations too much, I do apologize. I'm just a heavy listener when it comes to that.
I think we all did a great job. We all drove this episode. We all did a great job. It was great all around.
Not to interrupt you or talk over you more, but to quote the great prophet Derek Zoolander, I'd like to continue talking about this conversation, but I have to go pee.
I kind of gotta go pee too. I'll let you go first. You go first. Go.
Are you sharing a bathroom? What's happening?
Yeah.
Right
I mean, we're sharing a screen. If I go
both
pee,
the
he goes
hosts
pee.
can't leave.
We both can't leave.
If they leave, it's literally you and me and empty screens.
I'm still on screen as a little box. I'm okay.
I'm not here at all. I'm a ghost.
I'll move it. We'll go to this screen for Tyson. That give him some decency while he's in the pisser. That was great. Drip, I feel like you were here for a reason. Any particular reason?
I wanted to, well, there's a couple things you guys talked about, and I want to wait till Tyson's get back to really get into it. But there's a few things you guys talked about that I do have some opinions on, and I would like to get.
We don't want to hear them though.
Fine, I'm leaving. I'm leaving. No, I want to get the Pokemon guys' opinions on some of these things because you were talking about a few things. The comparisons to like Zelda and stuff, I kind of want to go. I want to talk a little bit about that stuff. And
please.
The Game Freak issue. I want to talk about that.
Can I just ask one question super quick? Because you guys know this way better than me. When Breath of the Wild came out, did it not have bugs and stuff within the first couple of weeks?
Yes, it did.
Yeah, it had a bunch of issues.
But in my opinion, and not that I didn't actually even play that version.
They
of Breath of the Wild.
that bad. They were not that bad.
Nothing.
Super
absolutely nothing. Pokemon. Not even in the slightest.
I just wanted to double check because I remember it didn't come out polished. I remember getting it.
No, it had it had some problems, but nothing like that. I mean,
it
was mostly frame rate issues, but they fixed a
fixed
lot of them. And I mean, even the ones that are still there. I mean. Oh my God, Metal's in the chat.
Metal Mojo! What is up, dude?
So it wasn't terrible, but like even some of the places that they tried to fix and did make better, like there's still problems. And I was playing it tonight on stream, and I noticed I was fighting a Lionel and trying to turn around, and the frame rate was so bad. I'm like, where is this guy? Where is he? Where is he? Everything just died because there was a ton of fire on the screen, and I had just shot the thing in the face with a fire arrow, and then there's stuff blowing up around me. I'm like, okay, problems, big problems. So I mean, it still has those issues, but they're not. They fixed them, and they did it quick. Yeah. They did it pretty quick. I mean, the place around
within the first month, they fixed pretty much everything they needed to.
Yeah, like where the Master Sword is, that whole area there, it's still it chugs in there. Like anytime you're there, it's
but
just,
like only there. There might be a little bit of dip here and there, place to place, but it's basically only there as far as I know.
There's a few places,
not
but
dip.
But that bad of I believe that like that bad of frame dips is only like right there.
Yeah, that's where it's. Yeah,
but
that's where it's really bad.
Those frame dips happen everywhere in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet.
What did I miss, guys?
Yeah. Nothing really.
Nothing.
Okay. Just bantering.
Nothing. So I was waiting for you to come back. Go ahead.
Go for it. No.
Okay.
Go for it.
So you guys were talking about something, and it's something we've all talked about a million times. This was way early about the fact that we all gave that excuse, like, oh, Game Freak, they don't have the time. They don't have the time. So, and that's true. And they don't like working with outside companies, which is fine because you got that group that's passionate about Pokemon, and that's cool. And I think that's awesome, and I think that should continue. Here's my question to the Pokemon guys. Let's take this to more of a business place, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And not only business, but what's right for that business. I understand you don't like bringing in other companies, you don't like bringing in other people, but you are the biggest franchise in the world, and there are a ton of developers and a ton of people out there who would fucking kill to be involved in this.
Yeah.
Why are we stuck with this one core group? Like, wouldn't it be better to actually not bring people in to work on games, but actually go out and seek people who can help Game Freak and hire them, bring them in? And I know you said there was that one guy who also left, but like, there's gotta be more out there. There's gotta be people who want to be involved in this stuff that they could bring in permanently, who would be a new addition to the team and help. There's got to be a million of those people out there, right?
Well, there's certainly people that would be willing to do the job. I wonder, I do have to ask the question, and the way that I could be totally wrong on this and totally off base, but the way that I interpret the situation is that there's a little bit of gatekeeping going on with Game Freak, almost of them guarding the franchise a little bit.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
That's they're almost so careful with making sure that they get the franchise right, that they're very selective with who they allow in. And
that's
how I would
fine,
put that.
though. That's fine.
I feel like, well, it's
like a secret club, and all the information stored within you can't access unless you pass trial after trial after trial.
Yeah, and I'm not excusing it at this point. I think at this point they need help. Like they need help, even just with like if you bring in people that are just bodies, just there to write code or whatever, that don't have any interest in the franchise. You need bodies at this point. These games are suffering. Like. Scarlet,
it's clear.
Yeah,
it's clear.
They're
clear
suffering, and so they. At this point, I was the biggest defender of saying, no, you don't just want bodies that don't care. I've said that on the podcast. My tune's changed, man. Like, bring those bodies in, bring them in.
Well, I don't even agree with that. Like,
I'm here for it.
Don't bring the bodies. Find people who are passionate. The people who actually want to, like the people who really want to be there.
Give me a second, Geeb.
Because they're out there. Those people are out there.
Well, you want to know who they are too, really? Like Twitter. Twitter's full of them, man. Twitter's full of nerds. Twitter is full
They're
of
nerds.
well, legitimate though, like fan artists that come up with their own concepts and designs.
I've seen it. Oh my god, yeah. Some of the stuff on TikTok I've seen, like their own regions, like it's crazy.
Dude, they're incredible. And so the truth is like we've seen Sonic do that. Why can't
Sonic Mania?
Yep. Yeah.
Sega hired the people who made it. They were like, yeah, make it. That's amazing.
Sega changed made millions of dollars changes to their movie because some fans of their fans uproar of the way to design the character. Like Sega, that's a great example. Sega's a great example of that. You know.
See, there's not. See, okay, look, I'm not gonna name names, but we can talk off channel about the person that I'm speaking of specifically because this person is an archetype for the rest of the Pokemon community that just defends this stuff. And like, I've always kind of sat on the fence where it's like, okay, like I see the arguments that this type of person is making, but I also see the flaws in the way that they're approaching development of these games. And now I'm more on the side of the fence though, where it's like these flaws are unacceptable. This game is outright like, look, this is gonna sound harsh, and I loved this game. I thought that the end of this game had a really good story. The end game of Scarlet Violet was incredible. It made me cry, like legit. It made me cry.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
Daddy issue, mommy issue game. Like it made me cry. So anyway, point being though, that it's got undeniable problems and there's no apologizing for it. But yet you'll see some of the biggest content creators that do get sponsorships, that do get paid from helping sell Pokemon content. That make apologies for it, and it's like, you know, like no. And you know, I can point you guys, if you guys ever want to do some research on some of the bigger Pokemon content creators, I'll give you the guy that I'm specifically talking about. I think it would be in poor taste to name him here because he's a good creator. It's just that he does a lot with the Pokemon Company, and so you can't say anything negative, or else your you know, your income stream gets cut off, right? But like, I think it's at some point,
you just have, isn't it? It's Fappy.
It's definitely Fappy. Those dirty Australians.
I knew it.
Wash your hands.
I just think that's.
I don't even have 200 subs.
I think that's one of the biggest problems, though, is that the Pokemon community as a whole, because you've got these big creators that do nothing but defend it, and then they've got the droves of people that follow them that really. Kind of, it's like a hive mind almost. If you're in their chats on Twitch, and these people are on Twitch, it's a hive mind of thinking where they just agree with it because, well, this person said it, and it's like, well, but look, like this game is utter garbage in a lot of
nobody's
ways.
Thinking for themselves these days,
right?
Yeah, open your eyes and look at what's in front of you.
Right. Then that's just it. Open your eyes and look at what's in front of you. You're taking the opinion when you can literally see with your own eyes. I love that, Drip. I love the way that you said that. Like it's objective. It's undeniable. This game is
it's right in front of you.
Flawed foundationally.
Go play any other game, and then go play this one, and you tell me that it's okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think that's. And this gets back to what Alex says all the time when Alex, and I love Alex, so I'm not talking trash on Alex. Alex is.
I'll talk trash on him.
I won't. Alex, for that tough UK exterior that Mr.
Brit.
Alex likes to
You
put
smell
up.
funny.
Alex is a genuine dude, and I like Alex the whole time.
Yeah, I love it.
But one of the things,
guy. You should totally meet him.
He's fantastic.
You should totally
he is fantastic. And he's got the best accent ever. It might rival Fappy's accent. But
then
the
I
thing
don't
that
want to meet him.
The thing that he says.
No offense, Alex. Fappy's is way better. Fappy.
I don't know. Alex's is pretty good. Like,
dude, they're both great. I want to do a podcast with Fappy and Alex.
The Fappy and Alex podcast.
That'd be dope.
That would be the best podcast.
Like, you could call it Fappy Corner.
He'd be like, "The fuck is wrong with you?" And Fappy be like, "I don't know, mate. I ate shrimp on the barbie this morning."
Oh God, yes. Give that to me all day.
It could be called the Fappy Corner. Call it the Fappy Corner.
The Fappy Corner. Oh my God.
He left. He left.
Oh no. Fappy, come back. Come back.
He left.
Oh, sorry. Metal, are you from Phoenix? I used to live in the Arizona area. I grew up in Mesa. But no, the thing that he tells me a lot though is that it's about the money, and I kind of lost the point that I was making, but Alex says it really, really intricately and really lays it out. But it is, man. It's just what's right in front of your face. The games are flawed, and there's really no excuse, especially considering the amount of money they're asking for from fans, and that's kind of that. But this is what I was getting at with what Alex says. But they'll continue to do it because people continue to buy it. And I'm guilty of continuing to buy it.
Yeah.
And but part of the problem is that these big creators, these big influencers too, it's not just the I mean, Pokemon is like Winnie the Pooh levels of iconic, right? I mean, at this point. So I mean, it's
up there the same, literally on the list of like most if profitable franchises or whatever that list is.
No,
you have the Pokemon Company and Winnie the Pooh is up there.
Right. But what I'm saying is at this point, no matter what anybody says about it, it's gonna sell itself. But it doesn't help that you've got these big influencers like making excuses for these types of flaws that you see in these kinds of games.
But I'll say this because you alluded to that earlier in the episode too, and it made me think, and I think that Pokemon's reputation is actually hurt, like for real.
Agreed. Yeah. Agreed.
I think whether or not they're trying to band-aid as best they can with these influencers and stuff, and just ignoring the problem altogether, like they have been.
It's a band-aid on a broken bone.
You said that earlier.
Not gonna help you.
It's a good comment. Like,
not gonna help
you.
Their reputation from a lot of Nintendo fans who like love Nintendo content and particularly YouTube, the game's been shit all over on YouTube. Like, so like, I mean, there's been lots of I guess it does kind of depend on the circles that you're in, but assuming you're in a diverse circle of communities, you've heard the shit talk because it's well deserved. The game,
dude, just the Switch era. Think about just the Switch era.
Yeah,
the hype for Sword and Shield was through the roof.
Yeah. And
then it came out, and I mean, lots of people liked it, but it had huge problems. All kinds of stuff. Like, man,
this was a nightmare.
That tree was pretty gross. So the tree, you want to?
I mean, the whole thing. But then from there, we've got these little spikes of hype, and then the hype comes up, and then the game comes out. There's a bunch of people disappointed.
But do you want to know?
Hype comes up. It's been the same thing through the whole Switch era.
So the truth is, though, here's the truth with Sword and Shield. There was a lot of hoax, like glitching, that was out there on the internet about Sword and Shield. We've seen the glitches with Scarlet and Violet with like the really long. This was with Scarlet Violet with the really long limbs and the guy riding their ride Pokemon or whatever.
Yeah, and like flipping around and like some exorcist shit.
So those are real. Those glitches are real. But we saw a lot of hoax posts in the Sword and Shield era that were not real, of glitches like that. They were fake. People were like hacking the game and faking it with early copies they got. So I do genuinely feel like Sword and Shield got a really bad reputation right off the bat for posts like that were actually hoaxes.
That's fair.
But because and this is me looking at it objectively from and I'm known for saying that Sword and Shield is the most fun I've had since Gen 5. So I'm kind of a Sword Shield guy. So I'm a little biased, but on the flip side of that, I do acknowledge the faults, but if we're going to acknowledge faults of a game, we have to acknowledge real faults, not hoaxes. But one of the faults of Sword and Shield is you had this hype that kind of got brought falsely down because of hoax posts. But then there was the wild area. So this is one that kind of a real letdown of Sword and Shield for most people. It wasn't.
That was my huge letdown. That was it.
Yeah, and it wasn't for me. I was fine with the way that the wild area worked because it did work. It just wasn't open world. But I would argue with Scarlet and Violet, is open world Pokemon good?
Well,
I would say no.
I love it.
No, okay, well that's another point I actually wrote down here that you were talking about, Tyson, earlier, that I wanted to ask you about. So you said
you took notes.
I took a few notes. I did take a few notes. Well, I was upstairs on the couch. I was just watching. And I was like, well, I'm gonna be actually. No. Okay. Anyway, you said that Pokemon lost its magic.
Yep.
After Gen 5.
Yep.
Okay, and
I said that was wrong.
yes, you said that was
you're wrong, but that's okay.
Okay, I made that note and then listened to what Fappy said, and I was like, okay, well, that's not everyone's opinion, but I mean, I've heard your opinion, Tyson, on that specific thing a lot.
Yep.
But here's my thing. Here's my thing about this whole thing. So maybe the Pokemon Company has actually felt the same way internally. Like maybe we kind of didn't do what we were supposed to do, and we have more and more complaints about this and that, And maybe that was the whole reason of going towards this. Like we got it in steps. And you guys talked about this too. We got Sword and Shield, which was the wild area, which everyone thought was open world, which was not. Then we got Arceus, which was open area, not open world.
Which was a fine way to do the game, actually.
That was fine. Yeah,
it was
fine.
as close to open world as you can get.
So they've been moving towards this whole Breath of the Wild open world thing. And Geeb was kind of talking about the whole Zelda what if situation there. I feel like if you take these two universes, these two things, you look at what Zelda did, which was a huge gamble with Breath of the Wild. That was massive. That could have been terrible. It could have been awful. They hit the mark. They did it. And in Jeeb's fake world, let's say they didn't. I feel like that is actually what happened with Pokemon. They didn't have enough time to actually they were in the same place thinking, we need to reinvent this because we have to get something new. We need to change this up. They don't have enough time to do it. So instead of the next game being, bam, here's your awesome thing that everybody can be so excited about, they had to do it in steps.
Well, that's how they've always done things.
Well, yeah, and but that's exactly why, because they don't have the time to do it. Yeah. Imagine a world where we get, let's not even say 6 years.
Mark my words.
That's crazy.
Again, mark my words. This day on what time is it? 8:02 p.m.
No, you're right.
On April 24th, 2023, Pokemon Generation 10 will be a blend of both styles of Legends Arceus and traditional Pokemon gameplay.
100% right about that.
That's what it should have been with Gen 9.
Right. Yes. Okay, but my whole
yes.
Right. Okay.
We don't need it in Gen 10. We need it now.
My whole point of all of this, my entire point of all of this is it shouldn't have been brought up the way it was and thought of the way it was in Sword and Shield. And you're right, Tyson. Arceus shouldn't have fucking happened. That shouldn't have been a thing. They should have just saved all that. Everything. Not even the wild area in Sword and Shield. Just make it a linear thing. It's the first one on the Switch. Everybody would have been totally fine with that. They'd have been, oh yeah, it's a Pokemon game. It just looks better now.
It's almost like I would equate it to being like a content. It's like you guys, we've all done this as content creators. So I would equate it to doing this, where it's you make too many promises to your audience, right? And you don't deliver. It's the same thing that they've done, right? It's the same thing.
I've never done that. I don't know what you're talking about.
That's my. I think we're all in agreement. We're just arriving there from different perspectives. But the truth that's it, man. Like but that's why Gen 10. That's why Gen 10. It's going to be the biggest generation of Pokemon ever. I don't know what they're going to do necessarily other
12,000 Pokemon.
That's the game that we can expect, though. That's the game we can expect.
I agree.
Arceus, it's going to be open world, but we're going to have more action-oriented gameplay like Arceus. But the problem with that is it's a disappointment because we've already experienced it in two separate game styles.
100%.
It's not new anymore.
Right. Now listen to this. Exactly, and that's what got me thinking about that whole. You're right. You're 100% right. Imagine if, like I said, like Sword and Shield was still way more linear. On the paths, the same thing, and it's the first one on the Switch, but it ran good. Everything was fine. It didn't look the greatest, but it's like it's a Pokemon game. It's good. That's perfect. Like you could do the same. You could literally do the same things in that game without the wild area. Am I wrong?
No.
As far as this story, I know there's other things going on with
there was no. Yeah, I mean, so the wild area
couldn't evolve a certain Pokemon.
Okay, but you could
change that.
Yeah,
easily.
you could change. I'm just saying, with what they did with the actual game, the game, not the extra stuff. There is some stuff in the wild area which could have been placed.
The DLCs were heavily reliant on that style of the wild area because the DLCs were basically all wild area. But for the base game, no, it could have been linear. It could have been linear.
Yeah. Okay. So let's say that one is linear, like every other Pokemon game, but it's just on the Switch. It looks better.
Dude, that'd been sick.
And everything runs good. Now you have that, and they're working on this other stuff in the background, right? And then let's just say, I know you're disappointed with it, but we got the Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl remake. No Arceus. No Arceus. But we have that one. So it's kind of like that would be if we're going to Zelda. That's like, okay, you get
your 2D Zelda, right?
Link's Awakening remake, okay?
And then you just get Tears of the Kingdom.
Okay. But okay, so then Arceus never happens. And they've taken all that stuff instead of trying to throw it into these games and make these games behind the scenes. They've been working on all this stuff that you're talking about might be Gen 10.
Yep.
But all that is in Gen 9 because they've had time to work on it. Could you imagine where the Pokemon Company would be right now if that was the actual structure of what they've done?
Well, it would have like Pokemon didn't need this because they make money-wise, they don't need this. But the place that I can see the games specifically would be in a similar place that we saw Breath of the Wild. Not that sales-wise, they don't need it. They don't need that resurrection. Right. But as far as like a cultural like revolution in Pokemon, it would have.
How insane would that have been?
But that's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. Is it is such a missed opportunity. And then this is just my opinion, but they are already behind the curve for Gen 10. And this is what they will do. Mark my words. But if they don't, I'll be surprised pleasantly. But if all they do is blend the two game styles of Legends Arceus and Gen 9, being open world and then having action oriented gameplay like that, they're behind the curve already. They're behind the curve already. It's not it's not you're setting there. I think that's the vicious cycle that they've set themselves up for, is they're already setting themselves up for disappointment because we've experienced those two already. It's not it's not special.
Right.
It's not gonna be.
It's not special. That's why Breath of the Wild was so special, because it was like, whoa, holy crap. Like this is, and it hit the
Breath
mark.
of the Wild was supposed to come out in like 20.
It was supposed to be a Wii U game.
Yeah.
I didn't even care about the Wii U. I didn't even buy a Wii U until there's a new Zelda. I'm buying one right now. What has it got? Oh, Mario 3D World. Okay, I'll play that. Mario Kart. That's fine. I'm good with that for now. New Zelda coming? Cool. Can't wait.
Oh, Metal, the merchandise, to answer Metal's question, like I don't know what the exact numbers are, Metal, but it doesn't even compare, dude. Like the games sell
like
a lot.
80% is merchandise.
It's wild, dude.
80% of the biggest media corporation in the world.
But again, I want to go back to this again. That's what they make their money on, right? Yep. How many more people would have been so fucking pumped about this, and the merch would have. They may have had a little bit of a lull, but man, it would have exploded.
But that's the definition of not being able to see like the forest for the trees, right? Or what? Right? Because you're like, okay, are you not going to get a massive release every 3 years? Sure, but like, think of the explosion of just wow factor. I remember being, and like I said, we really, if you look at the release schedule for Pokemon games, not much has changed. We always get a new generation about every 3 years. There's been 1 or 2 exceptions, but it's 3 to 4 years maximum, typically speaking. But dude, the wow factor of being a kid and seeing the difference, even just between something so small as going from like Diamond and Pearl, the originals, Diamond, Pearl, Platinum, and then even Gold and Silver, Heart Gold and Soul Silver, to Black and White, where the sprites moved. Like it was massive. And there's a lot of other little intricate game changes that they made to those games, even though they were still formulaic, that made those games special. And there was a wow factor there, and they could still afford to do those things because there wasn't so many Pokemon, where you were getting a complete game because they didn't have to take so much time. But now they're still following the same structure, but they're not acknowledging that the game's design time has naturally, because of the amount of content due to the amount of models in every game, has just grown, and they're not accounting for that. And if they would double their development time. And I would be like, look, man, like the wow factor, just like you guys get with Zelda waiting 6 years for a new Zelda game, you guys are over the moon excited for Tears of the Kingdom. You know what I mean? Because it's been so
to the moon.
To the moon, yes.
But because it's been so long, but also let's talk about those trailers. Dude,
oh my god,
They have the perfect way to release the game with all the perfect amount of spoilers and
they've mastered.
Fuck you, Geeb. Fuck you.
All I'm saying is they've mastered the ability to build hype with Zelda. They have mastered they know now since Breath of the Wild. I get excited about every Zelda launch, but that's just it. But they acknowledge, for whatever reason, they can acknowledge with Zelda that it is a franchise that deserves time, respect, and care. But for whatever reason,
Zelda has been art, and Pokemon is dollar signs.
Okay, I have another one. It's not just Zelda.
Oh, Metroid, dude. Let's go.
Yeah, Metroid. That's exactly where I was going. It's not just Zelda. Look at the tedious things they are doing with Metroid right now.
Meticulous.
The release schedule is, oh my God, it's perfect. Like, it is perfect.
It's also terrible, but in a good way.
No,
because of how sparse it is.
Oh, dude, you couldn't even.
No.
Yeah. Oof.
Listen, okay, we got Dread, which, I mean, okay.
20 years later.
And
20.
Holy shit.
It was worth it.
Oh my God, was it worth it?
Because you've never played a Metroid game before.
Well, I have played Metro. I played
but not
Super Metroid a little. Yeah, no, not like that.
But you not played it.
Yeah, I streamed the whole thing. Yeah, I mean, that was like an experience for me. Metroid Dread was, I was in, man. I was in fully.
You want to know what's funny about Dread, though? I don't know if you guys know this. A lot of hardcore the hardest of core fans of Metroid don't like that game. And it's because of the way. So you found your way through it and you got lost a couple times, but for the most, like, you were lost one time for an extended period. I remember watching you.
Yeah, when I stopped streaming because I was still trying to figure out where the hell I was at. Yeah.
But so, and this isn't me bragging. This is a testament to the level of design that they care. Care. I can't emphasize the word care enough. I didn't get lost in that game one time, and the reason was because they did a very good job.
It's the way it's designed.
They did a very good job of making you feel like you didn't know where you were going.
Yeah.
But like in a hidden way, guiding you along a linear.
Okay. Well,
path.
I wanna just interrupt you for a second. First, I have ADHD, so my memory on things like that is about zero. Yeah. So I was lost the entire time. But I did watch a video afterwards explaining.
Did you watch?
Explaining how it was set up. Yep. Now I could go back. Yeah, I could go back now and be like, I understand this now. I can run through it.
Can you send me that video? Because I need help.
I will
not finished the game yet.
Oh no! Once you see it, if you don't know, oh man, it's great. It's fantastic.
But a lot of hardcore Zelda fans hate Dread because of that. Because to a person, because I played Metroid growing up all my life. It's Metroid. Metroid's up there in like my top 5 favorite franchises, probably. Like if I had to pick 5, I don't know. It's up there. I love Metroid. But anyway, so I know what I'm looking for when I play a Metroid game. Kind of like you said, it just took you watching a video to figure out the design. Where the only difference between you and me is Metroid Dread was kind of your real first experience with a Metroid game where I kind of know what to look for.
All the way through, yeah.
So I didn't get lost. But I also, but even though I knew what I was looking for, I felt lost the entire time. And so that's, but anyway, the point that I'm making though is Metroid fans, like hardcore ones, really don't like Dread because it is linear and because they can see it from a mile away. Metroid Dread is linear. It just gives you the illusion that you're lost.
That illusion is a damn good one.
It's very good. One. Yeah, genius game design.
Okay, but then going on that whole thing, like Nintendo has this figured out. They know how to do this. They did it with Zelda. They're doing it with Metroid right now. We had the whole announcement that, you know, the game is being restarted, Metroid Prime 4. We got Dread. That gave the hype, and they have released that. They did that. Remember when that game came out? Mm-hmm. The day the
Halloween,
Switch,
dude.
Oh, the day the Switch
you're talking
OLED.
About Prime though? Oh,
No. The Switch OLED and Metroid Dread were released together.
Yes.
All the marketing was done with Metroid Dread for the OLED. Like when you look at the go back and watch the original trailer for the OLED.
Yep.
It's Metroid Dread on the screen.
Yep.
That was not that was there for a reason. And they're planting this stuff. The game came out. It was awesome. It got, it did really well.
Yep.
Then, fast forward to, a couple months ago, and they shadow dropped a first-party Nintendo game,
which is insane.
At a direct. Never happened before.
Nope, not a soul saw that coming.
Well, it's happened, but not like big games. Not like, they did like the what was that thing?
Pokemon Cafe Remix is Shadow
Yeah,
Drop.
yeah. Well,
Yay.
it wasn't even that. It was something where you were you had like a little claw grip and you're moving stuff. I don't remember. They've done small games like that, but not like a main Nintendo franchise like that. That was nuts. Nobody saw that coming. But the hype for that game, even though it's what was that, a GameCube game?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, I mean, let's think about this really quick. Imagine that game being announced at that direct, and they said, "Oh, it's coming out in 2 months." Yeah, people would have been excited. People would have been very excited.
Yes.
But the fact that they were like, "It's available for digital download right now."
Yep.
That put so many different people who may not have, maybe been like in the moment, like, "Oh, that looks cool, I'm gonna get that." Then, 2 months later, like, I don't know, maybe not.
Let's spin this back to Pokemon. Let's bring this back to how this
real quick.
Pokemon.
One point on the Prime theme that I want to make, and this will kind of get us back to the Pokemon thing, because I think I know where you're going with this.
Samus turns into a ball, and there's Pokeballs, and there
no,
we go,
they.
Yes, that's exactly where I was going.
But I think where you're going with this is they built the hype, because Nintendo is a hype machine. They know how to do this. They built the hype with Prime, so I'm gonna pick up where you left off with Prime.
Yeah,
and then they shadow dropped it, kind of building the hype that way. And I just lost my train of thought.
And dude, this is all building towards Prime 4. The people who weren't interested, because my point is, as big of Zelda fans as we are, and we love Zelda, and I've always loved Zelda. I have a Zelda tattoo on my hand. I love Zelda. I've always been there. Not everyone has always been there. And like you said, you've played Metroid your entire life. I've not been there. I've not been there. But guess what? My hype level for Metroid at this point is way higher than it's ever been.
Nostalgia is a powerful tool, man. Like,
and they've utilized Dread, the release of that, Prime, the shadow drop of that.
Oh,
they are bringing in all these other people who may not have been there. So when they release Prime 4, it's going to be massive. It's going to be Breath of the Wild levels, maybe not quite that big, but it's going to be that big.
My point just came back to me. So how the hype falls flat. The hype for Metroid Prime 4 falls flat if Prime, the shadow drop, if Prime Remastered doesn't deliver, right?
Exactly.
And it delivered. And that's what's important.
It more than delivered.
That
might be the best looking game on the Nintendo Switch.
But that's what we're driving at here. And that's what I was trying to say. That's what brings us back to the Pokemon conversation. That's what brings us back to the Pokemon conversation. Breath of the Wild delivered. All the hype. It was the first open world Zelda game. It delivered handily with both the game and the DLC. Dread delivered. After 20 years, Dread delivered. Prime, the shadow drop, it delivered. More than delivered. That game is beautiful. It's a masterpiece.
Best looking game on Switch.
But what we're looking at now is we have these really hyped trailers for Scarlet and Violet. They were hyped. Those trailers were hyped, man. They weren't even gameplay trailers. They were just CG, trailers, cinematic trailers, whatever.
Basically overviews of the world that you're going to be in.
Well, and then there was the shots of the ocean, and you got each of the legendaries on top of this giant rock spire in the center of the ocean. Like, it looked magnificent. Like, it looked epic, and that's where Pokemon kind of fell flat. Is that Scarlet Violet, man, it didn't deliver, and that's the problem. And so that kind of brings us back to the Pokemon conversation, and I think the real problem with Pokemon. Point.
That's where I was going, but yes.
Yep. And I kind of knew it, but
if I can raise something on that as well, the DLC announcement for Pokemon, they did something. It's very small in comparison, but they did something similar. They shadow dropped on their DLC announcement, basically stating, if you pre-order, you get access to a Pokemon that you can't get in the game yet, and everyone was loving that Pokemon from Legends Arceus, so it was like a hype thing for that. And also, they released way more information about the DLC than we ever thought we'd get that early.
I think the problem though, with people like me, so you're talking about Hisuian Zoroark is the Pokemon that they shadow dropped.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't I just I don't care. I have 2 shiny Hisuian Zoroarks in Legends Arceus waiting to come over. To me, I think it's okay.
Not
like,
if they
I
never
think
had home support.
that's my point. Like
Ilka's responsible for that, so I don't see Game Freak at all.
Oh, I'm not blaming Game Freak. I'm just blaming the franchise as a whole. It's not about placing blame on Game Freak. I have a soft spot in my heart for Game Freak, as I've communicated that pretty clearly.
It goes back to go ahead.
They're not delivering. They're not delivering.
It goes back to the main thing. Yeah, they're not delivering.
They're not delivering.
You're talking about oh, hey, can't get that Pokemon here.
It's in home. It's waiting.
Okay,
and we know it's compatible.
Right. And then you're talking about like, yo, Shadow dropped. Here's Metroid Prime. You're talking about like the hype level. Like, and I get it for hardcore Pokemon fans, like that one, like, that's cool. That's still cool.
It's not cool.
It's not the level of what they're doing with these other things. They don't have full control over Pokemon, which I get. But
I'm kind of a disenfranchised Pokemon fan at this point, guys. It's not cool. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Like, Fappy, I love you like a brother. And you're entitled to your opinion. I just disagree with it. I don't see Hisuian Zoroark being given as a reward for paying $35 for a DLC that's going to hopefully complete my game as any kind of consolation. Just give me home so I can have my shiny Hisuian Zoroark.
I didn't say it was. I was just saying that they shadow dropped it and nobody expected it.
But
That's
I think
all I was referring to.
Yeah, because they're trying. They are trying to do something. I just don't think
to hype it, but they're not hyping it enough. They're not
right,
exactly.
right. And that's the problem.
It needs to be bigger.
It's almost like did you guys ever like I would equate it to this. Did you guys ever like date a girl like as a teenager and
never.
Like and you liked her? Okay, so I did. Okay. So
you did. Wait, what? You
did?
With
that?
But okay, so like but we all experienced either stringing somebody along or being strung
along. Oh god,
right?
Yeah.
So we're being strung along by Pokemon right now. And that's why I'm like, no, it's not that's not no. Like Hisuian Zoroark was cool, like, I guess.
Pokemon, I texted you yesterday and you still haven't returned my text.
Wait, you texted me?
No, Pokemon. I texted them yesterday. They still haven't returned my text. I'm asking them again right now. Why
like, look, I took you out for a nice steak dinner with nice loaded mashed potatoes.
I thought we were vibing. Were we not?
Because
I had a fling with the penis rocket. I'm sorry. I had to
oh my gosh!
now on this podcast live. I had a thing with the penis rocket. It was short, but it was a sweet ride.
I just don't.
I'm so confused.
I'm not salty on the franchise right now necessarily, but there's just
Admit it.
Yes, you are.
It's fine.
Yes.
No, it's just.
I'm salty too, man. I'm salty.
Tyson,
I'm salty.
You're salty, dude.
What
you're salty. It's fine to be salty.
Okay, I'm salty. But what it boils down to, is the game's
and level 10 was the ocean, you'd be all the ocean.
It's not fun though, guys. Like it's not fun. It's not a fun game. It's not a fun game.
It's a fun game that has lots of issues. It's like a hot girl who has a. Ooh, I almost said something wrong. It's like a hot girl who, you know.
Easy there.
Yeah, it's a good. It's a beautiful game if it was actually finished.
If it was a game.
Okay, and back to like hype levels of things. Like we're talking about. Personally, for me, I watched the new Pokemon stuff, and they're like, "Oh, here's a Pokemon that you can't get," and I'm like, "All right, that's cool."
Oh, but actually, sorry, one sec, Drip. I do have something to say after you about hype levels for something in the DLC, so I will say that after
but
you.
My whole point is, I'm not really a Pokemon fan, and I wasn't really a huge Metroid guy either, but that hype, what they're doing with Metroid, got me there.
It turned you into one.
Yeah, I'm there. Like I'm there. This stuff that the Pokemon Company's doing doesn't. It's
falling flat.
Like, yeah, it's like okay, that's cool for Pokemon fans who are already there. That's cool. That's great.
It's not even cool for Pokemon fans.
Well, it might be for some.
That's just like your opinion, man.
That's just like, yeah, like totally like
I've
your
got
opinion.
2 shiny Hisuian Zoroarks. You can't try to appease me with one that I can transfer into my game now. Just give me home compatibility so I can have mine.
And
Like, I don't
that in itself right there.
They should have shadow dropped a mythical or something.
The fact that
Yeah.
you just want home compatibility is like, what the fuck are we doing here?
Hey, look, so I'm salty, but I'm not hard to please, and I'm not unreasonable. Just give me home compatibility.
Like, how is that not a thing yet?
I don't even need all the hype. Just give me home, and I'm a happy camper. I can get my Blastoise. I can have my
Can I say something? You want to talk about like what would make me happy? Forget shadow dropping a Pokemon. I don't care. There's a billion of them in the game. I'll go catch them. That's why I play the game. To go catch them. Shadow drop me a fucking performance update.
Shadow drop me a new Let's Go.
Shadow drop me a memory leak fix. Shadow drop me a resolution correction. Shadow drop me a frame rate steady 30. This is what I want shadow drop. I don't want it 2 months from now if we even ever get it.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Can
3
I ask
months
a question?
ago.
Yeah, can I ask a question? When was this game released? I don't remember.
November of
November
2022.
of last year.
This is the third update.
We're
6
coming
months
up on
after.
It's going to be May.
It's gonna be May.
Yes, glad you guys got it. Thank you so much for that. But it's about to be May, and it still
Geeb knew the
runs
assignment.
like a turd. Still runs like a turd.
Yep.
How?
Black money. They too busy rolling their Scrooge McDuck swimming pools of money.
I
think They got the last few scrubs who care about this game and at Game Freak. They're like, oh, we still want to hold true. So like, you got like the 3 nerds in the corner working on.
I thought you meant me for a second.
No. you got the 3 nerds in the corner at Game Freak, like fixing the basic code that should have been fixed on day 1, 6 months later. And then everyone else is just riding their cash cows.
I think so. Here's and Metal brought this up. It was either Metal or Cedric. I think it was actually Cedric that brought this up in the chat. But Cedric must be a Pokemon fan because he's aware also of some problems going on in the competitive TCG right now. Somebody just got unrightfully banned for just a complete misunderstanding from TCG. So here's the thing: Pokemon's bread and butter is. It's the people that buy the games are the casual fans, but what keeps the train running is competitive players who play the game seriously. They put on these big events. I mean, all the time. There's regionals, nationals, worlds going on for Pokemon competitive all the time. Like that's my football, guys. That's what I watch. I've said it multiple times. It's what I watch on YouTube's on the weekends.
That's wild.
And
but awesome.
but the thing is I really do think that if Pokemon doesn't correct course, because it was a controversial thing this person got banned for, but it was completely innocent and a misunderstanding, and everybody in the Pokemon community knows it. Everybody knows it. I don't think there's really a whole ton of people that are citing. What happened was a judge banned a person. This judge.
Do you know what it was?
What?
Do you know what it was?
Oh no, I know exactly what it was. I'm hesitant. This person, the judge basically accused the player of like misgendering them, which is asinine when you hear and read the account of the player, and you can watch it. It was on stream. Like, it was completely innocuous. He's just a kid. Yeah. So this judge banned the kid basically for misgendering him, or her, whatever. I don't know.
Judge?
Misgendering the judge. Yes. And not giving his pronouns appropriately or whatever. It was just, it's silly. Like, and
that's
look,
a personal thing that should not matter in that competition.
Yeah. Like,
the
it
judge
is what it
had this-
is. That
the
is
judge
a
had this-
personal thing that should not have anything to do
Right.
with the Pokemon tournament at all.
So
why
this,
is that even?
This kid was like 16 or 17, spent like $800 of his own money to go out to this, to compete at these top levels. This is like professional tennis for this kid. And he got banned because he said by accident, in good faith, he was trying to be respectful. If you read his account of it, you know what I mean, and try to take the kid at his word, because he's not malicious, he's a kid, but they banned him. And so the only reason I bring that up is because Pokemon, I think, is in hot water. There's a lot of fans. You even had, I don't know if you guys know who Hungrybox is, but Hungrybox is a competitive Smash player, Smash Ultimate, Smash Melee, competitive Smash player who he even caught wind of it, and he's talking about it, and he's like, this is utter BS. And Hungry Box plays Smash at the highest levels. And so the thing, when you've got one competitive guy saying, look, I don't care where you fall on this this issue.
It doesn't matter. It has nothing to do with what's going on at that place.
Exactly. So that's, I think this is one of the reasons why I'm a little salty on Pokemon, is they're letting other things, regardless of where you fall on these issues.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. That does not matter.
They're letting them affect, though, the enjoyment and the experience, and actually even being able to just interact and compete at all. They're letting it get in the way. And so Pokemon is having a lot of issues right now, but it's affecting everything. And so, well, what's that?
It's in the
I just said look at the patch notes. Just look at the patch notes. But we added the patch.
I thought you said, no, it's in the patch notes.
That was the rest of my joke was going to be like, yeah, just we fixed a bug where when you're watching a Twitch live stream, we will not include gender pronouns involved in our competitive aspect.
The problem,
the I choose you gender inequality patch.
I mean, gee, yeah. Put it. Why? Okay,
Bobby,
just to put a bow on this, that is what it is. That's fine. It's whatever. That has nothing to do with people playing fucking Pokemon cards.
Yep.
Like, why? Like, okay, a misunderstanding.
A rules violation.
Go. How is that even possible to do?
The grounds that the judge used to get the kid banned were basically that the judge didn't feel safe because of the remarks that the kid made. And it's actually in the rules, that because they have harassment rules just like Discord does, or any other thing that you use on the internet.
But that's taking it. That's taking it.
Right. Went out of their way to make it a personal.
And so it's funny. Yeah. I'm seeing Cedric. So Cedric is a competitive TCG player, so he knows exactly. And so you're seeing. I don't play TCG. That's the trading card game. I don't play that. But so you're even seeing Cedric, who does play it, says it's whack. And so that's the thing, is like, but there is the majority of TCG players that I'm seeing out there feel that way. And so I guess the only reason I brought that into the discussion is because I'm watching Pokemon come apart at the seams because of stupid stuff like this. It doesn't matter whether you agree with the reason or not.
No, exactly. It's not an issue that has to do with Pokemon whatsoever, or what was going on at that place.
It was stupid. Yep.
And it's a personal vendetta, which I'm sorry, I don't care where you lie. I don't care what side you lie on with this. I don't care. That is not appropriate to be putting it. That is a vendetta. That is somebody mad.
It was a control flex.
It doesn't matter what you're mad about. That's like anybody else. Yeah. That's like a.
It was a flex. I don't know. That's all it was.
That's like a cop mistreating somebody they pull over on the side of the road.
Yes.
For no reason.
Let's move away.
We're not going far. I'm going to end it right here.
Away from there.
It's the same thing. It's somebody taking a little bit more power than they should in a bad situation and turning it into something that has nothing to do with what's actually going on.
But the problem. It's indicative, though. It's indicative of where Pokemon, because they condoned it. Like, they're not going to do anything.
It's been a problem ever since they made female Mr. Mime. All right.
They're not.
It's. That's been an issue for years.
They're not going to do anything about it, though. They did make a statement on it, but they're not going to do anything about it because you can't. And so the thing is like you're watching.
You're watching statements about that as they've done about the wreck of performance this game.
But see, that's so Geeb, I thank you so much, because if they were as worried about like any of that's why I made the comment earlier that Pokemon is eating itself alive right now. Like it's on all facets. It's on the games. It's in the TCG. It's the games. The games don't work properly or function properly. And I'm convinced that the reason is because the same issue is at the root of all of the problems, whether it's what happened with the TCG or whether it's what happens with game development. You can't say certain things, or you can't, like, what they should have done is come to the side of that kid and said, hey, look, like, judge, like, you're actually wrong here. But instead they decided to support the judge. But the kid didn't do anything. He legit didn't. It's on camera. Like, it was on stream. Like, you can watch it. He didn't do anything. So the thing is I think that's the issue though, is it's the love of money. Because they feel like they have to cater to one community or one side. Like, they're so worried about what it might look like in that specific case that they don't want to lose money because they're disrespecting a certain community. That's why they made that decision. But then on the flip side, the games, their concern is money. And so they just want to pump these games out. So I would argue
they're burning the candle at both ends, and it's gonna come to the middle at some point, and
that's what I would say. Yes, and that's what I would say. The problem overall is they are consumed with what produces them money right now in the short term, but they're not looking at it. I mean, like, every company has, like, long-term goals and long-term analysis for what's going to make them grow or whatever, but they're gonna implode at some point. Like,
it's inevitable at this point.
Yeah,
it's inevitable. It's gonna happen.
Guys,
whether it's 20 more years.
Let me ask you this.
Ask him off the stream.
Are we done?
Yeah, we're
This
very
is a
much
good one
done.
though. This is a good one.
It is a good one.
You better make this worth it.
I want to know what
I never got to say what I was hype about.
Oh yeah, come on. We're
No, it's okay.
Are we done? Because Geeb, I mean, come on.
Fappy, what do you got? And then Drip, what do you got?
I just want to. Yeah, go ahead, Fappy. Mine's not.
I just want to say that I'm super hyped for, as much as I had to pay for the DLC of Pokemon and everything. Back on the Pokemon subject. I'm super hype on the idea of the second DLC, the Indigo Disc. Just strictly because of the fact that I'm obsessed with, like, the ocean and everything like that in real life. Gen 3 was a massive generation for me because, like, all of Gen 3, majority of it was ocean based, and it was like you could dive underwater and everything like that. And now they reveal a second DLC that's literally an academy that's sitting in the ocean, and it's going to have something to do with swimming around and stuff and diving possibly, and going underground underneath the water and everything as well. Honestly, I've been waiting for that in Pokemon for years, so if they do that correctly, I'm gonna lose my mind. But then again,
prepare to be disappointed.
Then again, I'm taking it with a grain of salt. Not as much salt as Tyson, but a grain of salt.
I have so much salt right now.
All right, well, I have one real question that I need answers to from our Pokemon experts.
No, and that's the stream, guys.
I need to know what is the future of Pokemon Snap, the best Pokemon game that there is.
I couldn't even tell you. I didn't play the last one.
I can tell you. So
DLC would be dope.
That game was amazing. I'm sorry, as a photographer, as somebody like who, that game was really, really good. I love
the remake.
I mean, the original was great too. I played that too.
Yeah.
DLC,
I even
honestly,
liked cameras.
I feel like Snap it won't get this because I don't think the sales were there. But I think it'd be cool to see DLC. I think it'd be cool to, they'll probably come out with another Snap eventually.
Give me Snap too.
Hey Ty, guess what?
I doubt we get. So I mean, I think we're all in agreement that we're getting a new Switch relatively soon. I don't think that we'll get another Snap on the next console. We won't see one for another while. Like, it'll be another couple consoles.
Man. See,
that's the future for me.
Everything we've talked about tonight tells me otherwise.
Hopefully. Look, I'm there with you. I didn't play the new
here's
Snap,
why.
but...
Here's why. Because it was good. It was good. But we're talking about money. And the Game Freak didn't do that. Who did that?
I don't know. I didn't play that one.
I do know, and I can't remember. But man,
Tip of my tongue.
Not only was it my favorite Pokemon
it wasn't
game
Bandai
ever,
Namco or anything, was it?
It was Bandai Namco.
Was it? Okay.
Yes. That
Cedric's
game,
got it.
Yeah, Bandai. Yeah, they did it. That game looked it's the best looking Pokemon game on the Switch by a mile.
It's not a Pokemon game. It's a photography sim.
No, whatever it is, I want another one. I want another one.
Yeah, I will point out too, they did really neat with this game is that they gave it free content updates, and they didn't do DLC, but they added 3 whole new areas for free in an update, and that's kind of amazing considering it was to do with Pokemon, and you never see that sort of thing. But it added like the secret side path, which was like traveling, like shrinking yourself and traveling,
yeah, I totally forgot about that.
Through an area, and then like an already existing area, but you shrink yourself and go through grass and go through a different area. And then they had the big river rapid that was in the OG game that they've added stuff to. And they did like the Barren Badlands or whatever it is, which was a big desert biome attached to the other desert biome. So they added a bunch of content to it over time, which was awesome. And honestly, kudos to them. I really hope they do another one.
Me too.
Because it was a fantastic game to just take your mind away from things for a bit. It's just a really nice game to just chill in. And also they have a full underwater map.
And that's like one of the best ones too. It's so good. It's so good.
Lost my mind on that one. Like
I actually, to end this, if you don't mind, Geeb, if I may.
Sure.
Because I know that Grandpa Jeeb's probably getting tired.
He's sleepy. I can see him.
No, so to end this, for somebody with my level of salt over my favorite franchise on the planet, I don't have a whole ton of time to play a lot of games nowadays, but my question for you guys would be, with someone that is a little bit bored of Pokemon right now, to my 3 other friends sitting here, what Switch games might you recommend?
Zelda, the Tears of the Kingdom.
I'm getting Tears of the Kingdom until Tears of the Kingdom. I am buying Tears of the Kingdom.
Pre-order twice.
What would you guys recommend I play until TOTK? T-Talk.
I've got a good recommendation. There's a game coming out eventually. It should be soon. It's a similar style game to Pokemon.
Okay.
But it's Let's Go Johto.
I got a good one.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
No.
Let's go Johto.
Look, one more let's go and I'm out. It's
gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
I have a real suggestion.
Let's hear it.
Cult of the Lamb just got new DLC.
I can't do that one.
What do you mean you can't do it? Why? Why not? Give me a reason.
I can't do that one.
Give me a reason.
No, I can't.
I need a reason.
That, to me, that one's a little. That one is a little
on the nose.
That's a little blasphemous for me. I can't play that one, man.
Fine.
Hold on. I'm trying to find something good for you. Give me like 2 seconds.
Hey, honestly, if they bring
dude, listen. You know what you should play?
It's fiction.
That
Bayonetta 3.
Bayo 3. Okay. So do I need to have played the other Bayo?
Oh, that's a great one.
No, you don't. You don't. It's fine.
You want to though? I have it on Wii U.
One is fine. One is fine. One's really good.
It's hilarious.
2 is amazing. 3 is even better than that. It's got some frame rate issues, but it's damn good.
All I got to say is,
so Cedric recommended Astral Chain.
Oh, have you not played Astral Chain?
I haven't.
Holy crap! Yes. Never mind. Listen, same developers, same people. Yeah. Astral Chain is outrageously good.
Okay.
Probably one of the most underrated games on the Switch. Honestly, it's very, very, very good. There's so much really cool combat, and you're controlling 2 people at the same time.
Right.
But there's also like detective work. Like, it's really good. It's really
okay. So
good.
I'm making a list. Give me one more, Fappy. Give me one more.
Okay. So there's a franchise that I really love, and I've played a lot of the games. Made by Akira Toriyama.
Okay.
The guy that made Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
So Dragon Quest.
Yeah. Let's go.
Dragon Quest 11. Because of an elusive age. It's a really just fun little RPG game. It's got this really cool story, and I've based a D&D campaign that I wrote on that game specifically because it was so good.
Piggybacking off of that, Dragon Quest Builders 2.
Really?
Yes, actually Builders 1 and 2. It's like a Minecraft sim mixed with Akira Toriyama drawing style.
Yeah, you'll have fun with that too.
Okay, so listen. Now you guys got me started on another thing. When are we doing?
End of stream. Bye.
When are we doing a collaborative effort and we all build a Minecraft world together on our own server?
Oh man.
No. Minecraft is dead
you know that scene in Guardians of the Galaxy 2 where Star-Lord says he's gonna build a bunch of weird shit?
Dead to me.
That's
Steve,
me.
you know you want to play Minecraft with us.
I've played it for 12 years.
I've never played Minecraft. Not
Chat,
one
can I
time.
get a 1 in the chat for everyone that wants to see a Minecraft
I will
server between
delete
the 4
every
of us?
comment.
I
Go
would
ahead.
love to
I'll
do
delete
it. I've never
every
played.
single one.
Chat,
Type your
give me
one.
a 1 in the chat.
I'll delete
Chat, if
every
you want to
single
see
one.
all of us play Minecraft together.
I'll
But it's
time
weird
you
that
out.
You don't want Tyson to
I'm
be on
gonna
another
time
pod?
you out. Don't do it.
That's so nobody's putting a 1 in there.
Metal, you
there's
timed
Metal.
out.
All right, it's happening.
Time
Done.
out.
Metal wants it.
Done.
It's done.
Look at all the comments. They're gone. Done. He's gone.
Oh man, that's funny.
Guys,
God.
don't listen to Tyson. That's what you get.
Sorry guys.
Wait, one sec. I just found out. Sorry, I just found out Dragon Quest 1, 2, and 3 got released on Switch.
Yes, there's a ton of Dragon Quest games on Switch.
Yeah,
there's a ton
they
of
got
Love you, man.
remastered and released on Switch.
Yeah.
1, 2,
So
and
that's
3.
awesome.
I didn't know you played those games, Drip. That's cool.
I don't. I know
was-
about them. I know lots about them. I
introduced-
don't play them.
I was introduced to them in 11, and then I started playing them backwards.
I'll check them out. I need something to play to keep me busy because
This is
Pokemon's
3
just
weeks
not
in a
doing
Drip.
it.
This is 3 weeks in a row we've timed somebody out either intentionally or unintentionally.
Hey, people are getting wild in the chat, man. It's fun.
Thanks for taking one for the team.
When
Metal.
someone hits the button.
Oh, Mega Boyd, I do have Mega Man Battle Network. Actually, I bought that. I need to work through it. I think the problem with Mega Man Battle Network for me is that I've played them all already, and so it's hard for me to play them again because I'm. It's different when you play through it once and you're learning it and it's a new experience and it's fun, but like I'm just kind of breezing through it and it's not fun. You know what I mean? It's a good game though. I do have the Battle Network collection, but I can't play it because it's boring because I've already done it. So I do need
Fair.
to play Alex in that game though.
All right,
So
guys.
word of thumb is everything's boring to Tyson, and we're
Yep.
gonna end it there.
Yep. Perfect.
All right, that's the end. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Peace.
Bye, everyone. See you.
Bye.
Bye. Love you.
Bye.
No, guys, we'll see you guys. Guys, we'll be back on Thursday. Today's Monday. That's weird. We'll see you guys back on Thursday. This episode will be released tomorrow morning as a real episode, just like it normally would. But so just you guys get 2 episodes this week. 2 streams, 2 episodes. Awesome. We'll see if we can do Friday stream as well. Metal. If you were here in the chat, I'm sure you would say, "See you later, guys," and I would say, "I'll catch you later too, Metal." But you've been timed out.
Bye, Metal. Thanks for coming back.
Oh,
Oh, man.
You have a bad example.
Thanks,
Don't listen
Metal.
to this, man. Everyone in chat, Cedric, thank you for commenting all night, man. We appreciate it. Mega Boy,
Thank you, guys.
Hari, all you guys. I see you guys in the chat. Appreciate you guys. We'll see you guys on Thursday. Don't miss out. I don't know what we're gonna talk about. Probably Zelda.
I know what we're talking about. I already know.
What are we talking about?
You have to wait till Thursday to find out.
Tyson, you're talking about Tyson.
Yep.
Goodbye,
that's it.
guys.
Bye.
Bye.